to the channel where the dough don't rise. Broken bakers here with the sarcastic eyes. From Danish pastries to courtroom crime, where the spelling's a mess, but the humor's prime. Pro se defendants taking the stand, with wine moms laughing, glass in hand. Mods like Marissa and Valhalla too. Irish and whiskey keep the chat in view. It's trial tribulations with a sprinkle of wit. Chats popping off, yeah, they never quit. Jamie's got the deals and the beauty hacks. Dollar store glam keeping us on track. So come for the crime, stay for the snark. Broken bakers baking up a legal spark. Mo hops in with spicy takes. Jemima's got the docks, Farrell brings the shakes. Brandon keeps it wild, Iron Rabbit keeps it chill. Together they're the dream team, streaming the thrill. With courtroom chaos and dry witty flair, we're roasting defendants, cause life's not fair. Grab your wine, your snacks, and settle in. Chat's the real star, let the fun begin. It's trials, tribulations with a sprinkle of wit. Chats popping off, yeah, they never quit. Jamie's got the deals and the beauty hacks. Dollar store glam keeping us on track. So come for the crime, stay for the snark. Broken bakers baking up a legal spark. Broken Baker streaming, so don't you miss, where courtrooms and sarcasm meet Danish bliss. Mods and chat, we're keeping it clever. True crime and dry humor now and forever.
Hey, and welcome back, everyone. And I hope you had something to eat. I didn't. So if I go off screen, it's to put something into my face to make me fatter. But if you were around the other day, I read everyone's favorite independent reporter, Grande, Mr. Grant, Doink the Clown, Willis Ellis, report from the RO hearing with Turtleboy and Lindsay, where she tried to have her RO extended for another year, claiming she's in fear of her livelihood, live, kids, I don't know, sunshine. We'll figure it out when we start. When I read Grant, it was some of the best pro se lawyering that ever happened on the face of the planet. There might have been confetti, well, I don't know what you call those tubes that you shoot confetti out of, standing applauses, people saying, oh my God, this lady should have been a lawyer. No, she shouldn't, because she is. She is the greatest pro se litigant in the history on the planet. She is intelligent, great arguments, and she really just swept the floor with Bradle, according to Grant. But I trust Grant as much as I trust a fart when I have been at Taco Bell. That's why I wanted to listen to it myself. I've seen parts of it over on Aidan's channel. It's a restream of Aidan's show the other day, so he will comment along. It'll pop up on the screen now and again what his comments were. And thank you, Aidan, for allowing me to stream it, because I think it's quite interesting that this lady, who clearly was a honeypot to lure Aidan into trouble, get him in prison, get him in legal trouble, because, in my opinion, I don't know, allegedly, whatever you have to say, because the MSP were setting her up as a honey trap for him, honeypot, honey trap, because they wanted him. Out of that came a whole lot of heck of trouble for Aidan. He spent 60 days in prison because she claims he attacked her, claimed that there's been, if you listen to all the anti-Karen Reed people who in reality don't care about John O'Keefe, they care about Aidan Turtleboy Carney, and they just put their hatred for him over on the Karen Reed case. So that's it. Guten Abend, good evening, bonsoir, buonasera, dobry večer. Dobra noche, ne? Hello, Helena. Hello. Sue was great. It's fun to have her on, and her and Jamie kept me in the background, so I didn't get to eat my dinner, so I'll have to do it on stream. Every time I'm here, it's so cool. Oh, thank you for finding us cool. I've never been called a cool person before. I'm so happy to see you live, Baker. Hello, Baker and friends. What are we watching today? We're watching Lindsay and Aidan in court. Hey, Jana. Jail, not prison. We don't have different things in Denmark. We have different ways of being incarcerated, but it's the same. He was not allowed to go outside. This was insane what I heard of it. Yeah, I heard it was a pretty good. Well, I won't call it entertainment because it's horrible what he has to go through. Hey, Anya. Dobra dan. No, that's good day. And it's evening here where I am and where Helena is. Or blaming it on the girls. I don't blame it on the girls. I blame it on girls who let the MSP use them as a lure to because I don't know if any of you ladies know this. Come in closer. There's not that many boys here. I'll tell you a little secret about us men. You promise me you can't use it against us. Us guys are kind of stupid. We we sometimes let all the blood we need up here go. And when we do that, we make a lot of bad decisions because when the small head is filled, the big head doesn't work. So, yeah, if you want your fella to do something, just get him to think with the little head, and but don't tell all the other guys that I said this. But that's it's a secret. But don't tell the other men that I told you the secret. Yeah, it was you and Jamie. This is that trial. I always think of Pooh Bear when I hear Honey Trap. Well, he was so fat he got stuck in a tree. Frenchie's mom from Nederland. Why do you have Great Britain and Nederland? That's weird. Welcome. She was adorable. She was a nice guest. God aften. I always blame it on Sue and Jamie. How does incarceration work over here? Well, you can. There's different. You can be in custody, where you are just sitting in prison waiting to be brought to court because we are afraid that you might influence or you might skip, just like when you do it over there. But you can't pay bail and get out. But you will have custody hearings, and as long as the police can convince the judge that there's a risk that you would do something, you'll stay in prison until your sentencing, and that will then be subtracted from your sentencing, the time spent or time served. If you go into the system and have to go in, if you have you can have a judgment that's what do you call it? If you don't do anything within a year, you don't have to do any time. Then you can have one where you have to do you have to, what do you call it? Where you have to go out and help clean the streets or something. You get an amount of hours, and then you don't have to get to prison. Then you have a suspended sentence. and you can have jail time. But we have different kinds of jail. You have the like the supermax, where everything is on deep lockdown. You have your normal prisons, and then you have your open prisons where you can work and all of that, and you just have to be in prison at night. So we have different types of incarceration. Hello from the UK. Yeah, don't tell the boys. Men should always wear suspenders to help the blood stay put in the noggin. Yeah, I know it's a big surprise that men are like that. Nothing? Well, not all the women knows it, Crispy. I'm just saying. Hey, Corina. It's called the reward system. Exactly. My pleasure. My pleasure. Suspended sentence. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. I found it in the end. And community service. Hey, Lynn. Thank you. In my opinion, Turtleboy is hated as much as Karen Reed. No. There's nowhere near the hatred of Karen Reed, because if you see the Kate Peters of the world, if you see the Plevins of the world, if you see the victim, all of these people started out, well, not Plevin, but the rest of them started out liking Kate Peters, not Kate Peters, no one likes her, liking Karen Reed. But then, because they got in some stupid argument with Turtleboy, they started hating her and became anti-Karen Reed. I don't think there's much true anti-Karen Reedism out there, if we can say it that way. That's why they can never bring any proof of why they think she's guilty. It's always, if you say, well, I don't think she's guilty, well, you suck Turtleboy's Connichon. That's not an argument. Tell me where in the filings, where in the trial, that you believe that they prove she's guilty. Well, you're just using Turtleboy's talking points. Again, that's not an argument. That's just, I don't like Turtleboy. It's fine if you don't like Aidan. He's a gonzo journalist. Some people find him too aggressive in his reporting. Some people love his reporting. There will always be something, but what I just don't get is why spend so much of your life hating a woman just because you hate a reporter? It's such a weird thing. How long does it take to go to trial, and how long does a red rum will normally be somewhere between 10 and 16 years. 10 is one of those. You can get lower. Let's say there was a good reason you did it. Some people need a little killing. 16 is you'll have to have gone absolutely bonkers doing it, or you can, of course, be sent away for life. But the normal, I would say, standard red rum, 12 years. 12 years is probably the standard. The red rum I was in, I believe we gave him 12 years, 12 or 14 years. I can't remember. But that's the regular, somewhere between 10 and 16 years, normally what a red rum gives you in Denmark. And I think even in red rum cases, we go by 75% must be served before you can be up for parole. But I'm not sure about that. And how long to go to trial? I had a financial crime that was 16 years old, which it shouldn't be allowed, but because it's financial crime, then they can always extend it if you have tried to cheat the government for more than 500,000 Danish, which is roughly 80,000 American. The last trial I had on Thursday, I was in court the last time, which was an involuntary manslaughter case, a traffic accident that happened on the 8th or 10th of December last year. So it depends how clogged up is the system. Who are you? Because if you're a foreigner, so you don't run away or something. If we call it the 3 V's. that goes faster. That's weapons, grape, and violence. They will get fast track. If you have I'm doing a case next week. I believe it's someone who did some illegal loans, probably used someone else's social security things to obtain loans, and maybe did fraud on some businesses by buying on credit for something she didn't have. That can be an older case because it's not that highly important in the Danish judicial system. I don't know how long it is. I know the name of the person, and I looked on. We have the court lists for the next week is already put on a website, so we can see. Okay, this is most likely the case. I can see it because it's 1.5 days, so I can see that's the case I'm going to have. But normally, you kind of have to guess which case you're having. But that's probably a bit older because it's not that important. But I would say most cases goes somewhere between 18 months and 2 years is probably the norm. Did you all watch Turtleboy's interview with Brandy? When? Who's Turtleboy? Turtleboy is a reporter out of Massachusetts. Turtleboy versus Coffin Cracker is what I want to see. That woman is impossible. There will be one problem with that case. I think America have some anti-slap law for public people or people in public or whatever you would call it, and he is a quite well-known figure. I don't know how the anti-slap laws are in Massachusetts. I know he sued this victim already. I know he told Caffey Daffy to take down what he believes is defamatory statements. I don't know if she did or if she didn't. I haven't heard more about it. But there could be some, like we saw in the Blake Lively case, where I was wondering, why did Justin Baldoni sue in California that has some of the strongest anti-slap laws? So him being a journalist and a very well-known journalist with a big online following could potentially be a detriment to his case. But I know he wouldn't have wouldn't have filed these suits if he didn't have a good discussion with his lawyers beforehand. And they said, this is probably gonna stick. No life sentences. Yes, we do have life sentences, but they, I think maybe right now we probably have like 4 or 5 people who have life sentences. It's more likely that you will get a life sentence in the loony bin by way of you every time you'll go up for reevaluation, like we saw with the Slenderman case. The medical council will say, well, they're not well enough. They have to stay in, and then you stay in for however long it is. But I think we have Peter Lundin I believe is in life. He's the guy who unalived his girlfriend and her 2 sons. I think Peter Madsen, the submarine guy, is also on life. And I think the guy who chopped up a woman might also have had life. I'm not 100% sure, but very unlikely to get life in Denmark. No, we haven't had that since 1947, and we reinstated it to take care of some folks after. Before that, I think we removed it back in the 1910s somewhere. I think we had this last public before the cleanup. I think you have to go back to 1800 something to have the last. It was so old, it was still decapitation. What do I think of much larger red rums in the US? It depends on what are you doing. Are you punishing or are you rehabilitating? I find we are very, very lax with some of the sentences we give out. Um, my murder case, I think it was probably appropriate. Of course, I voted for it and said I think he should have that. But we have to lean on what have other cases, similar cases, given before this. If we just went in and said no, he's going to get life, he's going to appeal it, and we're going to be turned down by Supreme Court. But I think that's okay because we have a belief in Denmark that we can fix people. I think we also have a system in Denmark that if you have done more red rums, you would get less than you would have done if you had done one red rum, done your time, one red rum, and one red rum. We give a rebate where you give more sentencing. It's kind of weird. It's the Danish system. It's different. I think every country should do it how they like it. I don't know if our system is better or worse than yours. Recidivism is kind of the same, so I don't know how much it works. But there's also, you have to think about the victims and the families of the victims. Life is 21 years in Norway, but it's possible to add something onto that, making it possible to be actual life sentencing, but they still have the possibility of parole. I think Denmark has too. I don't think we have a maximum, because we had a guy called Palle Sørensen who pew-pewed some police officers, and he was let out. I think he was in prison for 30 something years, and he was let out because he was granted a medical parole because he was he was about to croak. Hey, Ali Rydell. Bye, Sue. Yeah, you had to take care of some problems. Our system is weird. There's a whole lot of red rum cases that don't hit the news where the sentences are shockingly short. Yeah, and that's the thing. We only see the big cases, the televised cases, and there's a lot of more crime going on. I have a channel. I never really showed that channel because it's very short every day, and that's everyday crime where people, and that's actually what I do most of the time, is someone stole money from something, someone in small amounts, or someone cheated someone in a deal, or some regular street violence, and you don't really see that on us YouTubers channels because it's not that important. But actually that's most of the time what you're doing. I've been thinking about it these days where nothing really has been going on, just show that trial, because most of the sentencing is not that much, and a case takes like 45 minutes. That's also what most of my cases, which could be the guy the other day who drove into a bicyclist and unalived him. It took 4 hours. He pled guilty. It's just the sentencing that was the big problem, because there wasn't much concrete sentencing in it before, because he fell asleep, or he was about to fall asleep, and it's really hard to prove in other cases that someone fell asleep and hit someone else. That's why you don't have some concrete sentencing. So that was why it took so long. My red rum, I think it was a day. Then I had another case about some financial crime. I think it took 6 days because they couldn't really figure out. They were arguing about 50,000 Danish, which is less than 10,000 American, out of a total of over $1 million Danish. They were fighting about 50,000, and it was just a waste of time. It cost more to keep the trial running. According to Grant, yeah, that's the hook for this one, because I read the Grant statement. How you doing, Mike? Palle Sørensen is the reason Danish people took their pew-pews out of their desk drawers and always carry them around. or Danish police, not Danish people. Yeah, before that, no one really cared. When I was young, seeing a police officer with a pew pew was uncommon. You didn't see them. If we had those foot patrols that walked around the city stores, they would have a baton. That was all they carried around. You never saw them. Then the violence level have been steadily growing up through the aughts and the 10th, and now every cop. I think they have this Glock 17. I think it is. I'm not sure. I think it's the Glock 17 we have. The police carries, and then you have the HPK. Is it Mark 5? It's called. If they have to go out and do more, and if they're afraid it's the some terrorist thing, they will put in the military to protect certain sites. With and the Danish military carries a version of the AR-15. But let's get into it so I can get my food. Again, this is from Aidan's stream the other day.
Hi, please. What is the session makes you?
In the matter of Lindsay Gaetani versus Aidan Carney. Would both parties stand and raise their right hands? Do you swear in the matter now in hearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank
All right. So we are here regarding an extension of restraining order hearing. Ms. Lindsay Gaetani, I will give you this opportunity. I have read your affidavit. Is everything in that affidavit true and accurate?
I don't believe I submitted an affidavit.
Well, you submitted an affidavit originally with.
Oh, the first one.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And additionally, at this time, what I'll do, because I know you're not represented by counsel, I'll give you an opportunity to give a narrative, meaning you can tell me in your own words what you'd like to tell me for my consideration for purposes of extending the order. Also, then I'll give you an opportunity to cross-examine the plaintiff. And do you have any other witnesses you'll be calling in?
No.
Okay. All right. So whenever you're ready, you may proceed. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm here respectfully to ask that my restraining order be renewed. I received a copy of the defendant's statement late yesterday afternoon, and I was able to review that. While I wholly disagree with most of the statement, I do realize we're not here to relitigate the original order, and rather for me to explain to you why I remain in fear of the defendant. So I first want to just express that the order is, my children are covered under the order as well. I remain in constant imminent fear every day of the defendant. I am very scared about potential future physical risk as well. To begin, the order was violated in February of 2024 during a hearing actually across the street at the Superior Court, which I and the attendant both attended. He did leave the courtroom, but he remained outside afterwards and essentially followed me to my car, taking pictures and videos of me as I walked with the group of people I was with, well within the 100 yards of the order. And I had no way to get to my car other than passing by him as he moved from spot to spot, following me all the way to my car to the entrance to the parking lot. My car was vandalized that day.
I love this part. That's one of the things that they really tried to up, because all of a sudden she was at a Karen Reed hearing and he followed me. Tom, I believe it was, have pictures of him standing across the street talking to people. And then the next day they claimed that her car had been vandalized, implying either by or by on the behalf of Aidan, and they have zero proof of it. And again, they have all been on the twits and talking about how he did it and it's his fault. That's I don't know why these people are the way they are, but yeah. Well, Aidan, let's be honest, he can be an asshole, but I don't think after spending 60 days in a slammer, he would be stupid enough to do any of this. And again, there's no evidence. Oh well, we tried to take pictures of him, but we couldn't. They have no proof of it, and that's the funny thing. Sorry, I'll slow it down. It's just I felt she talked slow. She never went to any hearings until he had the argument. No, and she just all of a sudden showed up, so he had to leave the courtroom. That was stupid.
Sir, are you a member of the media?
Your Honor.
Folks, quiet, please.
Not today, not today, I know.
Are you gonna have to put that video camera away? You did not request permission prior to the hearing. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you.
That was the first warning to Grant to take the video camera away.
So the defendant was charged with a violation that is still a pending matter. It still has not been, we haven't gone to trial for that yet. So that is one of the reasons. Another, he was indicted for witness intimidation and wiretapping against me, and those matters are still pending as well at the Superior Court. We have not gone to trial for those either. And I'm very much in fear of what he may do in regards to the result of the cases, because he's also facing numerous other charges against many other witnesses and facing many, many years in prison. So I am very scared of what him getting in a desperate state, what he may do to try to prevent me from speaking, as he's already tried to do in the past. You know, he has expressed to me in the past and on his, so I should mention, I think it was in my original affidavit, he is a well-known blogger and YouTuber and has a very large following of fans. He gets tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views on his YouTube page and social media platforms. He has announced to me and on his YouTube shows in the past that he struggles with mental health issues. He has told me specifically that hears voices, has thoughts of suicide, that like he has suffered with this in the past, and I'm afraid what he might do if he was put in a desperate position facing all these years in prison. He has engaged in a year-long smear campaign against me, using his platforms publicly, even while he was in jail, writing blogs about me filled with disparaging lies from jail, posting my picture, private court documents. He posted police reports where he doxed my full name, address, phone number, birth date, and that has resulted in his followers, he has incited them to harass me as well. They've gotten death threats. I've gotten calls to the Board of Nursing to try to get my nursing license suspended, calls to my children's school and emails to their school, constant calls to DCF with false reports. May I look at my notes? He was given by accident in April of 2024 a full forensic unredacted copy of my cell phone, which I had given to the Mass State Police because I was a witness for a matter that he was involved in prior to me. And it was handed to him by mistake, and he has been sharing it, announced on his show. I was alerted to this by a friend back when it happened in April. He went live on his YouTube show and announced that he'd received this copy of my 15 years of my life, everything you could imagine, from medical records to attorney communications, intimate pictures, everything, medical, bank records, everything. And he announced that he had already shared it with dozens and dozens of people. And
why do you have 15 years of stuff on your phone? Is it hooked up to your iAccount or whatever it's called? And people, stop with the nudes. We are in 2024. It's at least 20 years since people figured out that any nudes you take will be public nudes. So don't have those intimate pictures anywhere, because they will leak. That's why you make an OnlyFans. Then you can get paid for leaking all of that. Does she have in context receipts? Well, it's her perspective. Yeah, don't. The same officer she schemed with to get Aidan in jail is the same one who leaked all of her information to him. Yeah, I was thinking about that. She's a nurse. This lady have a colorful background history. It's the same in the Adam Montgomery case. One of the ladies he used to El Rocco with had also begun working in the medical field. Don't you? I wouldn't let addicts or former addicts into a hospital where you can steal stuff like that. Well, we have to find out. We have to find out. Did he share it publicly? I haven't seen any nudes of her. That's what I can tell. But the talk about his video where they has been disseminated all the place because Grant used that to accuse him of raping her, even though the police said no, she was a willing participant. We saw the video. So again, I liked how she's crying. I can't wait till she has to interview him. I have 15 years on my phone too. You just transfer your old phone to the new when getting a new one. Yeah, but why do you have communications with your lawyer, your dirty pictures, your whatever it is? No, you took those with a what's it called? A Polaroid. So you can't do that. He admitted to sending them and said it was and he was mortified. That takes out, in my opinion. Yeah. I think he have really he learned his lesson, and I think he's grown up a lot over the last year. I don't know. I don't know any of that.
And he has continued to share information from my phone since that day that he got it, despite numerous protective orders with the courts at the Superior Court.
Any of the 129 people here today have seen any of the information from her phone? I've heard Aidan talk about some of it, but I've never seen him leak any of her medical papers or nude pictures. Have anyone seen that?
And despite assurances from his attorney that he would not do so anymore, recently, Judge Krupp at the Superior Court put in place a more stringent protective order, basically ordering him to give back the phone extraction and any and all copies, and stop sharing any information from my phone. But the damage has been done. He, mere days later after that order was put in place, he went on his show again and announced that the order was essentially useless because he shared it with so many people he can't even remember how many people he shared it with. And who's to stop somebody from an anonymous account or another country from sharing information? On one of his shows, he declared that when his trial is all over, he'll release the really good stuff. He has told his viewers that I conspired with the Mass State Police and Norfolk County District Attorney's Office to set him up, that this was all a big setup, and that nothing related to the charges ever happened, that it was all lies. And he refers to me and asked his viewers to refer to me as fake victim. So it has resulted in harassment from all of his fans everywhere. Like I can't even come into the courthouse without being harassed on my way in, because he's convinced these people that I have lied about abuse, that I've lied about these allegations, and that I'm a fake victim. I received a disturbing phone call in, I think it was August of 2024, from a number I didn't recognize.
This is an old photo. She got a little pouch on her these days. You can go look at on Twit, as they say, the girl you order, and next to it the girl you order on Temu. Let's just say she changed a little bit. Also, that's why the thumbnail has camel toes on it.
And I answered it, and it was late at night, and it was
that's not what she's asking for. She was just explaining that he was ordered to return it. She forgot the part where his lawyer is allowed to keep anything of interest to this case. They have the right to copy that. They don't need to know what her kid did 15 years ago if she has such an old kid. But anything anything related to this case, they will be allowed to take copies of. So they have to return it because it was a mistake. But still, they will still be able to because it would be a Brady violation if they didn't give them whatever they need for this case.
It sounded like a voice changer the voice didn't sounded robotic. And they asked me where my daughter was and named her. She's 3 years old. And they said that they had a present for her. And then they started singing Ring Around the Rosie and hung up the phone. And I was
Didn't I start at 1:30? I don't know your time zones.
later informed that the phone number is a number registered to Mr. Carney. And
How did you learn that?
a friend alerted me because I said, I told a friend that I got this call and I shared the number and they Googled it and it shows that the number is registered to him and that I guess he has two numbers and his main number is the one that I had, but this is his backup secondary number. So it shows, I submitted evidence to Attorney Burrito, which I can give to you as well. It shows the Google search returns his name and address as the owner of the phone.
And in the bottom, you can see this is Aidan communicating or updating live while he's watching. This is played off his YouTube channel. Thank you, Aidan, for letting me do this. And he says, we produced my call record showing that no such call took place.
Attorney Burrito, you've seen that.
I have you on.
The whole packet. It's the first 3 pages.
I'm
Just,
sorry,
for
Brandon.
the record, I would object to any evidence that doesn't is material or relevant to the plaintiff's reasonable fear of imminent serious bodily harm. This is a 209A order. There's no right to get a restraining order out of fear of being disparaged online. So to the extent that anything in there just refers to disparagement or complaining about someone's conduct, I would object. Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't made my ruling yet. Let me read the material and I'll let you know what my ruling is.
We're going to hear that in a bit. Brandon. That's a good thing. We can fast forward when they don't do anything. Well, I'm not saying it's not true, Brandon, but I'm just not pulling that up.
Again, all be turned off, okay?
Oh, we have to go back. So, someone was just
Really before me at the moment. You provided me with a packet of material, but what you're at least initially trying to move in is the phone number check. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I've heard your testimony regarding that. This phone number check is not authenticated. It's not a phone record, but I have heard your testimony on it. So as far as the phone record check, that will mark that A for identification, but that will.
nothing much. Just that she claims he phoned her up and threatened her.
Not be permitted into evidence. So
Yes,
also your objection is sustained. Do you want to move these other items?
Oh,
in
I
as well?
haven't thought about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Meathook. But I talked a lot in the beginning, so you're not missing much.
I've only provided just a few examples of some posts on social media and blogs that
The screenshot of her Googling my phone number was not permitted into evidence.
he has put up regarding me. These are, when I say only a few, I mean, he does 3 YouTube shows a week that are at least 3 hours long each and has been talking about me daily for the past year. So, and then has multiple social media platforms where he's posted about me hundreds of.
This lovely lady used to date Aidan. We're probably going to get into it through the video either way. She's one of those ladies that we men really like for a very short time, and then we have slashed tires and someone keyed our car. And when Aidan said, I'm done, she used to be a free Karen Reed person when she was hooking up with Aidan. Then she became very anti Karen Reed because she didn't like Aidan and got into the mix with Krusty Panties or Kate Peters. And she put down an RO on Aidan so so they could use her to keep him out of court when the Karen Reed happened. And all of a sudden, the December 23rd, not last year, but previous year, she calls him or texts him and say, hey, I'm being called for a grand jury. Can you please come over and blah, 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 you know. And he comes over to see what must be a fake summons to a grand jury because there's no grand jury at that time. There's no evidence of any. She then, because men are stupid, he goes up and says, well, those roast beef curtains need some exercise. Let me exercise them one more time. After that, she flips, claims she's pregnant, wants him to be there while she ends that. She claims he assaults her. She claimed there's a lot of stuff. Apparently, she had a massive freak out. Woke up her other kids and said she would drive her car to his driveway and pop the pill and just sit and have an abortion in his driveway. And then when he leaves, she contacts, and I think right before he arrives too, she's in contact with the MSP, with I believe it's Tully she's in contact with. She doesn't call 911, she calls the detective directly, which is kind of weird. So that's why I said when it happened, Dave and I was covering it, and I said this looks like a classic honeypot thing where you use a woman as bait to get men in trouble. I had one dangle herself out of my second floor apartment window. Then she slashed you. Yeah, but she was fun the first couple of times. She was with KP from the beginning. Oh, I just know that they used to date, and then she turned really cray. Don't do that, yeah. They never were a couple, they just slept together. She's just a thought. Well, Rastus mom, I'm old-fashioned. I see the best in people, so if you're banging more than once, you're kind of a couple in my opinion. Well, except my side chick and me. So she sounds lovely, yeah. She'll probably be very lovely to you until she got you good hooked on that sweet beef curtain, and then she'll turn really crazy and she'll burn your life down. I think she has restraining orders against multiple of her baby daddies as well. Well, that's a positive thing. No, she doesn't look like this picture anymore. No. And she don't, because you can't wear that filter on your face every time. She's not pretty in your opinion when you see her unfiltered, and she has a speed thing I can't handle. Plus, she's evil. Rastus mom, you're so judgmental. It's just no, I can, but I've seen those pictures from when she was on tried to be on The Bachelor. She's an internet 7 or 8 because she knows the angles, she knows how to use the light and all of that. But she's also a single mom with I don't know how many baby daddies. And one thing men should learn is if they have several kids with several baby daddies, there might be a reason, and it's probably not her ex that's the reason.
Times, if not thousands. So I couldn't possibly submit everything to you. These are just a few examples. And I do want to say that the phone call, if that, I don't know if that specifically is what Attorney Bradel was referring to in the evidence I submitted, but it does directly relate to my fear of physical harm of the plaintiff.
I think her baby daddy is old. Isn't he like 50, 60 something? So
I took my children immediately the next morning, packed our bags and left our home because I was too scared to stay there. We went down to a private resort on the Cape, and when we left several days later, there was pictures posted on social media of my children and I on the beach. I can't leave my home without being harassed by him.
thank you. Well, as I've clearly proven with my 2 days on Tinder, I'm not a hookup machine. So yeah. Oh yeah, and she has a give send go after Aidan sued her. Well, apparently there's two, because there's two people trying to. No, I can't. Allegedly, no. She, of course, will only use the money for lawyer bills.
One second, ma'am. I just want to rule appropriately on your evidence. So I have another packet of items that appear to be emails from Aidan Kearney, the defendant, or I should say postings of by Aidan.
Yeah, only way to do it.
Referencing you. There's a packet of them.
Yeah, she also have.
Total 10 pages. Again, counsel, I heard your objection to all of these items.
She have a ring camera in her bedroom.
Anything else you'd like to add?
It's good for
That's
your
just that
OnlyFans account.
they lack materiality in the sense that there's no nothing germane to the standard that we're here to evaluate.
So these items, collectively 11 pages, are admissible as exhibit number 1. So
Thank
those will
you.
come in.
And exhibit 1.
And then there was
Can you read what Aidan is writing? Submitted into evidence were several tweets and emails from people who weren't me, but which she blaming me for a third-party contract.
an additional item for a series of documents that were posts from other individuals, not Aidan Kearney. And those remaining items, the objection is sustained regarding those items. And those will not come in. Those will be marked as exhibit B for identification.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may continue.
So, I mean, even with so there was a modification to the order in April 2024, which allowed the defendant to be within 50 yards of me of any courthouse in Massachusetts. And even with just that slight modification.
Just for those of you who don't know, but you probably do, most of you, this is her one of her baby daddies, or one of them. And you can see this is from back in the day when a certain guy in Florida was really mad at Aidan, called him the little emperor, and used this guy because he allegedly withdrew some accusations against her, and then that guy used that to attack Aidan, even though that's probably a reason why he withdrew it.
It's allowed the defendant the ability to abuse it and harass me on one occasion.
She doesn't have any money, and apparently she allegedly she had $8,000 or $6,000 fundraised to a lawyer, but she didn't have a lawyer, and they claim it went to retainer for another lawyer. There was a whole lot of things going on. If she was worth half the trouble she would have 2 or 3 divorces under her belt by now and alimony. Yeah, that's the problem with girls like this. Don't pop the baby out before he pops the ring on. There's more value in it after that.
He sent one of his fans into the courtroom to take a picture of me at a probate matter regarding my children, and posted it from one of his, they call it a stock account, like an account, like a fake Twitter account, basically. On another occasion, just recently, about 2 weeks ago on Christmas
Let me
Eve.
ask you a quick question about that.
No, this is criminal court. It's a restraining order.
How do you know that you sent the individual, and did that individual tell you, or did you learn from some other source?
It was, she told somebody that told somebody that he's, so it would be hearsay, but she was there with the father of my children, who the defendant has publicly stated on his YouTube shows that he reached out to, who I have a restraining order against as well, after leaving a 6-year abusive relationship with him. And he has.
And she also have a video. He has a video where she's sitting in his car and not wanting to leave, I believe, and going absolutely apeshit and claiming he's breaking his RO because she's sitting in his car.
Colluded with the father of my children to engage in more harassment against me.
Your Honor.
If you still have more testimony, I'm happy to hear it, but that objection is sustained.
So recently, it's 2 weeks ago, December 24th, I was in court for another matter, completely unrelated to the defendant, and he attended, I believe, just as a way to intimidate me, and sat in the back of the courtroom, looked over at me and smiled and winked. And I just, what was that?
When was that?
December 24th, just a couple weeks ago. He had no reason to be at that court matter, and he announced on his show actually that he was not there as a reporter. And so I feel as though he's.
This is a reference to Mary Bagwell's RO hearing. At no point did I smile or wink at her. I was there to support Mary.
Using this slight modification just as a way to continue to keep tabs on me and follow me to places where I'm going.
Objection, Your Honor. That assumes facts, not evidence. She's never been followed.
Anything else?
Each and every time, even like we just have a hearing like today, he obtains the video and audio and posts it on his YouTube show and sits and harasses. And I mean, he's made threats. He's told me on his YouTube show, he's talked directly to me at certain points, which I reported to the Medfield police. They did not violate him for that. But he has said that I'm going to get mine. He has said that like karma always comes around. She better watch out. He has.
That's not a threat. That's a common saying. Karma always come around. Karma, chameleon. It's not a threat. And that you will get yours is not a threat. If he said, you will get yours, I'm gonna F you up. Just saying you will get yours is because what you did to him. Come on now.
The day that he violated the restraining order, I think it was that morning, I later saw a clip of his show where he said that, it wouldn't be smart of her to show up here. She better not, something along the lines of like, you guys know what will happen. And he blows this dog whistle with his fans. And I'm terrified every day. Like I'm afraid to leave my house. I don't know what he's capable of and what.
And apparently she's gone to the Medfield police more than 10 times trying to get him on violating the order. Unsuccessful.
He could or would do. There has been other people that have tried to get orders on him that were not successful in getting orders. And then
Objection to relevance on emotions.
and then he has showed up to where they work and live and tried to harass them. So I am extremely fearful that if this order is not renewed, he will use that same opportunity with me and show up to my children's schools, to my home, to where I am. And
why would he? Turtleboy is with a new lady. She seems like she's a good, stable woman. That's good for him. It seems like they are having a normal relationship. Why would he go and kick the hornet's nest? Why would he threaten your kids? Why would he come? Because that's the thing. We actually talked about this in court the other day, that the other layman, when he came to court, the person who we had that we had to sentence or judge, he was standing outside, and they talked to each other for 2 seconds, and we talk about, oh, when we leave the courtroom or courthouse, we normally go out the same door that any of the people we just sentenced go out of. And I said, yeah, but I've never ever I have judged, I've sentenced Hell's Angel rocker bikers, I've sentenced gang members from Middle Eastern gangs. They know if they touch me, they will get in more trouble the next time. So if they slap me in the face because and they know it's a part of the game, why would Aidan come look you up? He's not an idiot. You're constantly trying to harass him to do something. That's the thing, allegedly on Minecraft, maybe, is when I'm looking into this, all of these ladies are constantly trying to bait Aidan to do something stupid. But he's not. And because Aidan knows if he does something stupid, there will be hell to pay for it. And Aidan's not an idiot. That's why Aidan is a successful online journalist. I hate that argument. Oh, if he had a history of doing stuff like that, yeah, maybe. But he's not. He's kept away from you. It's you who constantly seeks out places he is so you can harass him with your RO. As someone said earlier, this is lawfare.
Says in his affidavit that the order prevents him from being able to travel freely, and something about his First Amendment rights, and that is completely false. I live in Medfield. I live nowhere near him. He has no reason to travel to my town. I don't go to anywhere that he goes. I don't want anything to do with him. I just want to be left alone. And
see you later, Sandy D.
I'm extremely fearful of what he might do, and if this order doesn't get renewed, I'm very, very scared about the lengths he will go to get revenge on me, as he has stated he will not go back to jail under any circumstances. And so, respectfully, Your Honor, I ask that this order be renewed for as long as possible, for at least a year. But
Thank you very much, ma'am. One question though. You said you were afraid that he'll go to your children's school. Has he ever gone to your children's school?
no, Your Honor, but he's their school has received numerous calls and emails from anonymous accounts with sexual text messages between me and the defendant that only he had, and references to his case.
From who?
It's from anonymous accounts.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Counsel, do you have any questions for the plaintiff?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Ma'am, that you said a couple of times here that you're scared of Mr. Carney every single day, you're terrified, seem like you're trembling, you're crying, you're having a rough time, right?
Yes.
On October 15th, 2024, you sent a tweet basically proclaiming that you're not scared of him, didn't you?
Oh, that's dumb.
I'd have to see the tweet.
May I?
That's really stupid writing that on TwitSwat. Because I'll come back and bite your ass.
So my question to you, ma'am, is you sent that tweet, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm still reading.
Brandon, you up?
It doesn't say, I don't say that
There's
I'm.
no question. There's no question before you, ma'am. Look up when you're done reading the
Okay.
text.
You've read the text?
Yes,
You sent that tweet, rather, right? You sent that tweet, correct?
I posted.
You posted it. Thank you. I'll take that from you. Offer this judge as next exhibit.
I would object to there's no context.
So objecting to the context.
Yeah, that's the big problem. She constantly seeks out places he is to hurt him.
Your objection is noted, but overruled. This will be entered as exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 entered.
Now, ma'am, you testified about a phone call that you say was
Horacio,
made
you're
by
really
Mr.
fond of
Carney,
AI right now.
from a 413 number on August 22nd, 2024, correct?
Correct.
And it sounds like a horrible incident. 46 seconds, taunting about presents for your kids, using a voice changer. It sounds really pretty evil and insidious, right?
Yes,
And so I presume that you called 911 after that?
I called the police.
And did you make a police report?
I did. They came to my home.
Do you have it?
Not on me.
Did you bring it to offer to the court?
No.
Ma'am, the fact is, this is a fake phone record, isn't that true?
No.
So you don't have any documentation of anything that you say happened here to offer the court today, correct?
I don't understand the question.
Just your word. You just have your word. You don't have any police reports. You don't have any recordings. You don't have anything, do you?
I didn't bring them. No.
Now, you
Yeah, I understand having a restraining order. The problem is this lady, even though she got a restraining order, searched out places where Aidan was to use that restraining order to get him to leave places. That's not what you use a restraining order for. A restraining order is a shield. It's not a sword. And that's why I think I haven't watched all of it, but I think her voice might change a bit.
also offered the court a stack of internet postings, some of which are from Mr. Carney, some of which that were not admitted into evidence are from other people, right?
Correct.
Now, do you have a
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
copy of your exhibit?
Yes, I do.
Can you look through there and just show me where there's any sort of threat to do bodily harm or property damage? Take all the time you need.
Well, who would know that you need evidence in court? Here you go, Baker, and don't call me play that MF song like Miss Shorty does. I don't know what that song is, but I'll have to contact her so
I
I
don't think
can
there's any threats about
annoy
property
you.
damage in these.
What about bodily harm? Is there anything, I'm gonna choke you, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna strangle you, I'm gonna do anything to you, such as that?
No, not that I see.
Judge, I'd strike the exhibit for materiality relevance.
Thank you.
Given that this is a 209A order, there's nothing in there whatsoever beyond a general fear of disparagement, which I would contend is not sufficient.
It's still potentially relevant for coercion purposes, so your motion is strike is denied.
Thank you. Respect, Your Honor, only. Judge, just one moment, please, Your Honor. Now, the basis for
No.
this order a year ago was an incident that happened at your house on December 23rd of 2023, correct?
Correct.
And it's fair to say that the allegation of physical harm in that case was that you had
No, I will try to knowledgeify you, or some of the people who have way more knowledge than me in chat will probably help you out. There are no stupid questions because Jamie isn't here today to yell at you, so you will not be yelled at.
taken some personal property of Mr. Carney, some notes, stuffed them in your shirt or hid them in your mattress, depending on what document you consult that you wrote or caused to be written. And that in some sort of struggle to get those papers back, you fell down to the couch. Is that right?
No, that's not correct.
Well, isn't that what you told the police, that you were pushed down onto the couch?
I told the police that I was grabbed by the wrist and the arm and then pushed onto the couch. You just asked me if I fell onto the couch, and that's not correct. I did
All
not
right,
fall.
so you were pushed onto the couch by Mr. Carney. That was the extent of the physical contact that was alleged by you, correct?
From that night, correct.
And that was the basis for the assault and battery charge that was brought, and that you then based your application for a restraining order on, correct?
That and the threats, the witness intimidation.
Threats and witness intimidation. But in terms of bodily harm, the only bodily harm that you've alleged is this being pushed on the couch allegation, right?
And also the grabbing of my arms, yes.
And you've since recanted that twice, haven't you?
No, I have
You
not.
said to Grace Barrett that it never happened. Isn't that right?
That's completely false.
And you also, do you know Mary Bagwell?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Mary Bagwell?
She used to be in a group chat that I was in with some other people who believed that Karen Reed was guilty.
Isn't it true that
I bet you no one really believes that in that group chat. They just believe they don't like Aidan Kearney. I think that's it. And Butterface, no one in chat will get mad at you if you don't know anything about the case, because we are here to help each other out and answer questions. If we can help someone new understand context better, we all win, because all you all know way more than I do. So if Butterface have some questions, please help.
you told Mary Bagwell, your former friend, that getting pushed onto the couch by Mr. Carney never happened? And when Miss Bagwell told you that you need to do the right thing and tell the truth, you said, no, you're stuck with it because the police are pressuring you and you can't take it back. Isn't that right?
Completely false.
Was that before or after you threatened to murder her and her children?
I just told you that was false.
Did you threaten to murder her and her children?
Your Honor, I would object because this has no relevancy to this case.
Objection is overruled. Please answer the question.
Your Honor, I'd like to, this is a pending matter, so I don't know if I have a privilege here. A Fifth Amendment privilege to invoke. Mr. Carney.
She's now trying to get a Fifth Amendment privilege to not incriminate herself, because there is charges brought against her for a phone call, which we will hear in a bit, where she allegedly in Minecraft threatens a lady that she will unalive her and her children. Remember, this is when Grant was ecstatic that she exerted her privilege. Exerting your Fifth Amendment privilege is always a smart thing, but I've heard the tape.
He claimed in his affidavit that I am going to be getting criminal charges against me, but I have not received anything yet. So
What we'll do is I'll step this matter back. I'll give you an opportunity I'll appoint an attorney. I'll give you an opportunity to speak with that attorney. And then we'll proceed accordingly after I hear from the attorney.
For the call. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
If I had been allowed to walk out of that apartment,
Court, all rise.
she knew she'd never
Court
seen
stands in
her.
recess, please go in the hallway. Thank you.
If she reported me to police for assault, I'll be seeing her for years in court. Yeah. But yes, she has to talk to a lawyer now. It's not a lawyer, but it's a lawyer to instruct her about her Fifth Amendment privileges.
On the record, the matter Gaetani versus Carney.
All right, so
She didn't plead the Fifth at the protection hearing for the Wyman. She threatened, she admitted it there. She just doesn't want to admit it now because she knows it would hurt her chances. Yeah. Grant is dumber than a skunk. Grant is, I think he is a misunderstood genius, because living in his brain must be wonderful. Nothing makes sense, but everything does. I have to go to the mall, and it's and my two-store. What? Stay safe. Don't drive. I don't think you're incapable of driving today, Brandon.
we step this matter back so that Ms. Gaetani could speak with counsel regarding a potential fifth regarding one of the questions that was asked of her from Attorney Gradle. Counsel, if you could identify yourself for the record and then report to the court, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Attorney Kevin Morales. I spoke with Ms. Lindsay Gaetani, and she did go over everything with me. I would report to the court that she does have a Fifth Amendment issue, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Morales.
Thank you.
So Attorney Gradle, what I'm inclined to do, and I'll hear your input.
Thank you.
You're just a tad tired, and she's just a tad a hoe. No.
And your position. But what I'm inclined to do is I'm not going to compel the plaintiff to testify regarding that question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But I'm not going to
Probably safer.
bar further inquiry. So you may ask other questions and you may continue with your cross-examination.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I asked the court.
But before we go on, I'd also give you an opportunity to make an offer of proof of what you think her response will be.
Yes, yes, thank you, Your Honor. The plaintiff struck a friendship with one of our witnesses today, Ms. Mary Bagwell, and they had a commonality surrounding the Karen Reed murder trial across the street, wherein they they were both sort of anti.
No, he was recently. She asserted privilege, and then no, she asked about privilege, and then she got a court-appointed lawyer. That's why he didn't know it. And Aidan says the court-appointed attorney heard the tape of the plaintiff threatening to red rum Mary Bagwell and her kids, and said that's not good. He then advised her to plead the fifth.
Karen Reed, pro-conviction protesters. So in other words, just for clarity's sake, taking a position opposite of my client. So Ms. Bagwell is on the other side, so to speak, on that case. She's not someone that's any sort of follower or puppet or anything on our side of anything. And they struck up a friendship. And Ms. Bagwell took issue with some things that Ms. Catani did with her children, with driving while intoxicated with her children, and talked about that. And in the course of that friendship, Ms. Catani, this is our offer of proof that Ms. Bagwell will testify to. That
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm
I'm
asking
sorry.
is for an offer of proof regarding what you believe the plaintiff's response would have been.
A truthful response, Judge, would be that she called Ms. Bagwell, and I'll give you the background later. I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand your question. She called Ms. Bagwell and threatened to murder her and her children. And I have a tape recording of it that I would offer as well. And I'd like to play that as a part of my offer of proof, if I may.
I would like to object to that, Your Honor.
Well, it's being played as an offer of proof at this point. Your objection is noted. I'm not accepting it as evidence. Just permitting him to make a record regarding testimony that thus far I have not required him to respond regarding.
I think I just make a comment because the recording was taken without my knowledge, and I don't know the relevancy as well. So.
Well, if it's taken without your knowledge, you're admitting that you said it. And again, there's the new function in the iPhone that overturns the two-party consent, because staying on the phone after the iPhone tells you that there's a recording implies consent. There's rulings about this.
No, thank you for that. You may continue with your offer of proof.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You are crying about my kids on an internet chat. I'm not crying about your kids, Lindsay. Everything was true that I said. You stupid bitch. Really? Stop drinking. Sweetheart, you want to stop drinking? You get it fucking off. I will come to your house and I'll murder you and your kids. You understand me? You dumb bitch. Sweetheart, you want to stop drinking? You get it fucking off. I will come to your house and I'll murder you and your kids. You understand me? You dumb bitch. Stop drinking. Sweetheart, you want to stop drinking? You get it fucking off. I will come to your house and I'll murder you and your kids. You understand me? You dumb bitch.
Grant, I know you never parted the roast beef sea on any lady, but get out. Get out of there before you get into that kind of trouble. This this type of lady are really, really fun until you have an STD, a child payment, and a flat tire on your car.
So Ms. Bagwell, we intend to call her, authenticate that tape, and testify that that's Ms. Catani. So it's the third, if not more than the third time that Ms. Bagwell was threatened by Ms. Catani, resulting in Ms.
Oh, maybe he
Bagwell
watches it later.
Caliber
I'll
District
just
Court and obtaining an order of a criminal harassment order, Your Honor, against Ms. Catani, which is pending. And there's also an upcoming criminal complaint for threats against Ms. Catani.
So your offer of proof is noted, and again, that is not coming in as evidence at this time. Madam Plaintiff, counsel, you may continue.
I haven't
your
seen any.
inquiry, regarding cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. And this certainly isn't, Your Honor is the fact finder, and I'm not looking for a response to this, but I would invite the court as the fact finder to make a negative inference due to the invocation of the Fifth Amendment privilege in a civil matter.
Okay, I am
Thank you.
not going to do that, so your request is denied. But I'll certainly hear any testimony, and I'll certainly hear any arguments later
Oh,
regarding
sorry.
the admissible evidence.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Shouldn't have replayed.
So, Ms. Catani, you know Mary Bagwell, correct?
Correct.
And how did you meet Ms. Bagwell?
Met her at a protest with Karen Reed trial.
And you got to be very friendly with her, correct?
Yeah, I'd say we were cordial.
You shared your domestic violence history, and she shared her history as well. Is that right?
I didn't share much of my history with him.
You met her about June of 2024, is that right?
I would say so.
On that date, on actually June 2nd, June 1st, 2020.
Laura, you know men well enough. No, of course you don't, because this is a good Christian channel and you're a good Christian woman. But some men, and not naming names, Yamaha biker, legendary racing, they tend to think with the small head instead of the big head. And when they do that, they get into trouble. Luckily, I think he learned a lot from this time.
Before you also were protesting with Ms. Bagwell at the Karen Reed case, correct?
I don't remember the exact date.
So it's fair to say on a couple of occasions you were with Ms. Bagwell when the Karen Reed case was going on across the street, correct?
I believe it was twice. Yes.
And one time you saw Mr. Carney in the vicinity
Yes.
in June, correct?
No, not correct.
Well, you spoke with Ms. Bagwell about allegedly Aidan showing up. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And that's about the time when
Don't get her in
you
your
were
car.
very angry that the state police had provided your phone extraction to the defense in the criminal matters that you're involved with regarding Mr. Carney, right?
I believe that was several months later.
Well, you were mad that you felt like you were lied to by the police, that only parts of your phone were going to go to the defense, but the entire phone went to the defense, right?
Correct.
And you said to Ms. Bagwell that if you had known that, you would have never agreed to cooperate with them and give them your phone, right?
I said I would have never given my phone. I didn't say I wouldn't have cooperated.
And Mary Bagwell was trying to be sympathetic. She said to you that she was sorry that you were going through this, but don't worry, everything's going to be okay, right?
I don't recall what her response was.
And you got upset. You said, no, it won't be okay. My kid's birth records, school records, doctor contacts are all stuff he now has. You said that to Mary, right?
I don't recall this conversation.
So back to Ms. Bagwell. You related part of that night to Ms. Bagwell, didn't you?
Attorney Bradel, I've told you
Yes or no?
multiple times I never had this conversation with Mary Bagwell.
You told Mary Bagwell that Aidan Carney did not push you on the couch or assault you. Isn't that correct?
Did not know. That is not correct.
You said to Mary that he was just grabbing at the papers. Isn't that right?
No.
Mary told you to do the right thing and tell the truth, didn't she?
No, she didn't.
You were screaming and crying at her. She felt bad for you and gave you a tissue, didn't she?
No, it's never happened.
No, it's because I'm playing a replay of Turtleboy stream the other day, so that's why you can read his comments.
You felt badly for what you did, and you expressed that to Ms. Bagwell, didn't you?
Nope, I never did.
So then, as July goes on, Ms. Bagwell expressed concerns to you about your parenting and your drinking, did she not?
No, she never did.
She never did. That was in the summer of 2024, wasn't it?
Never happened.
You started to get annoyed with Miss Bagwell. You started calling her a bitch, tell her to worry about her own fucking kids, and that she had better stop talking, and that she didn't know who she was fucking with, and that you said initially that I will come to your house and beat your ass in front of your kid. All right?
Not answer that question. That was the Fifth Amendment issue. Counsel, do not go there.
In December of 2024, so just this past month, you called Miss Bagwell 8 times from a blocked number, correct?
No,
Didn't you admit to the Attleboro court judge that you did so?
it was 4 times.
So you admitted to doing it 4 times?
You called her 8 times. No, I didn't. Didn't you admit to it? It was 4 times. Lady, do you know how cray-cray you come off if you just do it once? Now you did it 4 times. You seem really scared when you are calling someone from a... Oh. the good thing about most of these people are they are so dumb they don't even know that they are in trouble because they think that they can just skirt along and they'll be fine because they are used to getting in and out of all kinds of trouble by playing victim.
Times to the Attleboro judge?
Yes.
And Judge, just to point out, before Ms. Gattani answers, my next question would be, you also admitted to the North Attleboro judge that you called Ms. Bagwell and threatened to murder her and her children, come to the house and murder her and her children. And that there's an admission in the court record in Attleboro. That's my question.
I appreciate you presenting that to the court first. And you may not have that question, counsel, but you may proceed with your answer.
Thank you. And just in terms of an offer of proof, I would contend, Judge, that that's my information from my witness, and that I would make an offer of proof, and I'd make a legal argument, Judge, that Ms. Gattani has waived her Fifth Amendment privilege relative to this transaction by testifying to it in the Attleboro court. Just my legal argument.
Your offer of proof and your argument is noted, but overruled at this time insofar as being permitted to ask that question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, ma'am, you talked about the pending violation of a restraining order case in this court. You recall talking to the judge about that? Judge Clifford, here today
The pending restraining order case with who?
with Mr. Carney. You spoke to Judge Clifford about that today, correct?
Correct.
And that was on 2/26/24, correct?
I'm confused.
On 2/26/24, you were
The
at,
violation. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
that's okay. You were, all right, let's rewind a little bit. There's a pending violation of a restraining order case in this court, correct?
Yes, correct.
And that was on 2/26/24, resulting from you coming out of a Karen Reed murder case hearing, claiming that Mr. Carney was violating the order against you, right?
Correct.
Remember you told Judge Clifford about that, right?
Yes.
You said something to the effect that you were concerned that you couldn't get to your car because he was sort of blocking the way, something to that effect, right?
Something that I was forced to walk behind as he followed.
And you told the police that he was screaming at you, liar, liar, correct?
Yes.
And you implied or said to the police that you perceived that and experienced emotional distress from that and fear, right?
I don't remember what my exact words.
I'm not asking you for your words. I'm asking if you remember what your emotions were at the time. Fear and emotional distress, right?
After the hearing?
Yeah, when you said this thing happened.
Yes.
So isn't it true that you had no perception or realization that Mr. Carney was anywhere near you when you came out of that courthouse?
No, that's not true.
That's not true. All right, let's go through it. So you get out of there. It was a quick hearing that day, right? It was about a 10-minute hearing and you were out of there at about 2:10 p.m., right?
Should I answer these questions where we still have not gone to trial for this matter?
Please answer the question.
Okay. Can you repeat it, please?
You got out of the Karen Reed case that day on 2/26/24 at about 2:10 or 2:15 p.m., right?
I don't remember the
You
time.
remember the day. It was a quick hearing,
I
right?
remember the day, but I don't remember the time.
You came into that courtroom and you were acting like as a human shield to kick Mr. Carney out of there, weren't you?
No.
You stoked up a friendship with people that are antagonistic to him, and they brought you to court that day to kick Mr. Carney out with that restraining order, right?
No.
Well, you walked into that courtroom at about 2:00 with the restraining order copy in your hand, didn't you?
I walked into the courthouse and when I went through security, well, before I went in the courthouse, a member from the group called ahead to let them know there was a potential
My
that
question was that you went into the courtroom with the restraining order in your hand, correct?
I was told to have it out and ready. Yes.
So it's a yes.
Yes.
You went in there, you knew Mr. Carney was already in there, performing his job as a journalist, covering the Karen Reed trial, correct?
I didn't know.
You knew he was in there, didn't you?
I knew there was a potential he could be in there.
Why would you bring your restraining order if you didn't intend to show it to someone? I don't have many restraining orders against me, only a few. Most of them, it's slight stalking and slight harassment. But I've never ever met anyone walking around with a restraining order on their person, especially when they just go to court to meet up with their new friends that they just befriended. It seems very planned that you would be there and make sure you had it so you could show it to some court officer and have Aidan kicked out. And as he writes, and then have him charged with the violating the order the next day, which is BS because he couldn't know that you showed up because you'd never been to a court hearing before that day.
Mr. Carney had publicly announced that he was going to the Karen Reed case.
I don't know, Katie. It's just a hearing. Maybe go back and listen to her threaten to unalive someone, but we might hear it again later.
That day, and you knew about it. Isn't that right?
No,
You went in there with the restraining order in your hand to flush Mr. Carney out of that courtroom at the behest of all the people on the prosecution
No, that's weird. Why can't you just look it up in the system?
side of that case to exact revenge on Mr. Carney. Isn't that right?
no, it's not right.
Mr. Carney was in the room, wasn't he?
In the courtroom,
It's
In the
just,
courtroom.
you
He got
know,
up as soon as he saw you and he left, didn't he?
I believe he was asked to leave by one of the court.
I think she was invited by Paul O'Keefe. Am I right about that? I don't know, but I think that's the rumor that was Paul O'Keefe, or was it Jen? I'm not sure.
Mr. Carney
No,
left.
she was invited as a guest, or she was invited, they claim. And the rumor was it was either Paul O'Keefe or Jen McCabe, but I'm not sure.
And went out of the courtroom, right?
He did.
The hearing was quick and you were leaving with a big group of people, right?
Yes.
You left the courthouse. There was a huge throng of people outside and
Oh,
everyone was
Jen.
dispersing as they will from a court hearing, right?
Yes.
You were with a group of people. You exited the Dedham Superior Court, the Norfolk Superior Court. You made a right and you went behind the registry building to go to your car, correct?
I made a right.
Walked
crossed
across the street?
Yep, crossed over. And then, yes, went behind the registry.
And you were with a big group of people, weren't you?
Yes,
All right. And that's when you claim that you hear Mr. Carney yelling, liar, liar, and you see him and perceive him and experience emotional distress from him, right?
Yes.
And he's violating the restraining order, right?
yes,
Then you go to the back of the registry building with a group of people and you go to your car, right?
yes.
And you think that somebody did something to your car, right?
Somebody did do something to my car.
And you call the police because someone did something to your car, right?
Yes.
And
Well, I did not call the police. A member of the group I was with.
and Officer Kozak responded to a report about damage to a motor vehicle, right? From the Dedham Police.
I believe. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's the rumor.
And the time received was 14:32:06, so 2:32 p.m. Right?
Sounds about right.
So he was there about 10 minutes after you got out of there, right?
If that's the time you have.
And you had just experienced a blatant violation of a restraining order from Mr. Carney, calling you a liar, screaming at you, causing you upset, causing you to be in fear. That's your testimony, right?
Yes.
So you must have told Officer Kozak 10 minutes later that Mr. Carney was in violation of your restraining order and that he should walk 5 minutes away and arrest him, right?
I told him about the violation. I didn't order him to do his job.
You told him about the violation.
Yes.
So Officer Kozak no doubt would have put that in his report, that you told him about a restraining order violation that just blatantly happened to you, not 5 minutes prior, 10 minutes prior to his response, right?
I would have thought so.
I'd offer this judge, Officer Kozak's report. Speaks for itself. And sorry, Judge. Let me know when you're ready, Judge.
Any objection to this item?
No.
Okay, so this item will come in as exhibit number 3.
Yes, Your Honor. Enter exhibit 3.
You may proceed, Attorney.
Thank you. So you never,
It was the threats against her. She has a restraining order against Lindsay. I think that was that hearing.
you didn't report it to Mr. Officer Kozak. He didn't put it in his report because
But no, the hearing where she claims he broke his restraining order was in the Karen Reed case, and then she was at a Mary Backwell hearing with a restraining order against her. That's why she claims he winked at her.
that never happened. Isn't that right?
I did report it to Officer Kozak, and it did happen.
Officer Kozak came in to the hearing that you participated in based on your story here to try to revoke Mr. Carney's bail and send him back to jail when this happened. Isn't that right? He testified right in front of you, didn't he?
I don't remember him testifying.
Officer Kozak came to that bail hearing and he testified that you said nothing about any restraining order violation 5 minutes prior by Mr. Carney, didn't he?
I don't remember.
Judge, I have Officer Kozak's testimony. I don't have a separate copy of it, but I can either, oh, I'm sorry, we actually have it on a flash drive. So I just would call your attention to that, invite your attention to that, if I may, as the fact finder, that you're going to have Officer Kozak's testimony from the prior hearing where Officer Kozak corroborates everything I just said about him and his own police report, that Ms. Gattani said nothing about any restraining order violation 5 minutes prior. So I offer that. Now,
That's not coming in, but I have the report and I have his narrative, which addresses that issue, and that has been entered as exhibit.
all right, thank you, Your Honor. I'll leave it at that. I can just have one moment, please, Your Honor. Thank you. So, Mr. Gattani, you know that Mr. Carney's profession is as a journalist to cover the Karen Reed case, right?
I wouldn't say that's his profession.
Well, you know that Mr. Carney is covering the Karen Reed case and reporting on it prolifically. Isn't that fair to say?
Yes.
And so if you're afraid of him, you could just not go to the Karen Reed case where he works. Isn't that right?
I could.
But you don't, correct?
I went to the Karen Reed hearing.
When Mr. Carney announces that he's going to be at the Karen Reed hearing cases, sorry, strike that. When Mr. Carney announces that he's going to be at the Karen Reed case hearings, you show up. When Mr. Carney announces publicly on his Twitter feed or his Facebook that he's not going to go.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to say it because that would really ruin her case. Edward, you know this. You only say what's beneficial to your side of the case. You don't go around and help the other side by telling the truth. That's called defense dementia. You just forget everything that could help the defendant.
You don't go. Isn't that right?
No.
And you only developed an interest in attending Karen Reed hearings after you got a restraining order on him. Isn't that right?
No, that's not right.
You're trying to use the restraining order as a sword rather than a shield to try to get him in trouble with it, rather than use it as protection. Isn't that right?
No.
I can look for one.
So you just have an abiding interest in the Karen Reed hearings and you want to go there all of your own accord?
I was interested in the case. That's how I met him.
You never went to a Karen Reed hearing until you got the restraining order. Isn't that right?
I didn't go inside the court, but I went to a protest.
I should can find that Timu picture.
Sorry, just if I could just have one moment, please. Now, June 28th, you were at a Karen Reed hearing and you gave a media interview, correct?
I don't recall.
You walked right up to a camera right near where Mr. Carney was and you started talking to the media, didn't you?
No.
It's fair to say that on many occasions, you seek out Mr. Carney, you try to tweak him, you try to go to where he is and cause some trouble. Isn't that a fair statement?
Absolutely not.
So you just have an abiding personal interest in the Karen Reed case that just coincidentally meshes with whenever Mr. Carney is present covering the hearing?
No. I've only been to 2 Karen Reed hearings and I went to 2 protests. And I never paid attention to if he was gone or what he was doing. And the 2 protests I went to were after that order was amended.
And you're also trying to keep the attention on you, keep the controversy going, because you're trying to make money off it. Isn't that right?
No.
You have bragged about a big film deal that you're involved in where you're going to be played by someone and you're going to make money off of a film contract. Isn't that right?
That was a joke.
It was a joke.
Folks, quiet, please.
Why can't I find and why can't
Now, in December of 23, it's fair to say that your relationship with Mr. Carney had been winding down.
Yeah, we broke up in early December.
And you called him in a fit of rage around December 9th, saying that you were going to be his worst nightmare and that he didn't know who he was fucking with and that you were basically going to get him. Isn't that right?
Just for the record, what year is that?
23, Your Honor.
I don't recall. I don't remember ever making those exact statements.
And you claim that you were pregnant with his child, right?
Yes,
And you showed him pictures of some sort of medical pictures that you claimed were linked to your pregnancy with Mr. Carney, correct?
yes,
And in fact, those pictures, the metadata of those pictures showed that those pictures were a couple of years prior to any interaction with Mr. Carney, weren't they?
that's what the metadata shows.
And in December of 2023, you called Mr. Carney on the phone using this pregnancy story, threatening to, quote, drop that fetal alcohol syndrome baby off at your house and party my fucking life away. You said that to him, didn't you?
Well, that's one way to say it. This is her in court the other day. This is her on court TV with good old Krusty. Not as much filter on that one. And this is her when she tried to be on The Bachelor or something. Always good to bring your kid to a hookup program. I know that what's most men look for. And she looks like she is retaining a lot of water in those calves. Probably have someone look at that because that doesn't look good, that part. I never noticed that. That you probably have some. Have we any medical professionals? Don't this calf look like either it doesn't look like a healthy calf. This looks like my dad's when his heart was about to give out. I would have someone look at that. Yuck. But those were the. I know there's a picture where you can see him from the side, see her from the side, but I can't find it right now. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put this on. Krusty is Kate Peters' massive anti Aidan, who is the leader of the Cameltoe Club, the Food Stamp 5. He is the one who is everything anti-Karen Reed is more likely her that has something to do with it.
I don't remember.
And all of these machinations over the last year, reporting investigator Chapetta to the police with nothing happening from it, reporting me to the Board of Bar Overseers with nothing happening from it, threatening to murder Mary Bagwell because of it. This is all part of your campaign to exact revenge on Mr. Carney. Isn't that correct?
Don't answer that question. Again, that goes into the Fifth Amendment issue, Attorney Bradel, you know that.
I'm sorry, Judge. One moment, please.
Well, she wasn't elected for it.
Now, you claim that you want to get away from Mr. Carney, right? You don't want to interact with him. You're afraid of him. You want to just get him out of your life, right?
Yes,
So if one were to print out all of the texts, all of the tweets, all of the references to Mr. Carney, they would probably be about 3 inches thick, wouldn't they?
I've never contacted him, and my tweets began.
Oh, Julio, we need to do another stream where we can talk about all the cray-crays. I have gotten to know a few of them.
And 6 months after he had been harassing me, and I started to tweet the truth out there because he was defaming me all on the internet. So you probably find significant number of tweets from me, but I've never contacted him.
I'm just going to show you this pile. Take a look at that. Just leaf through that and tell me what Tell me when,
Folks, once again, quiet, please.
tell me when you're done. And then I'm just gonna ask you in general, what is that pile?
Well, you don't put in the car crash pictures if you want to draw in the audience. You show them later. Yeah, it's actually the same as Lauren Owens, magically pregnant without any proof, and then showing old photos. It's actually the same. See you later, Krista. Have a great night.
Most of these are like tweets from me responding to the lies that he's put out there about me.
All right, I'm just gonna retrieve that back from you, please. Thank you. So it's fair to say that there's a 3-inch thick, and I'm gonna spare the court the contents of this, Judge, and ask her to just.
Yeah, but the sideshow is kind of getting to be the main show now that there's nothing going on in the Karen Reed case. So you can. It's all the place. If anyone have that picture where what you ordered and what you got from Temu, if any of you have that tweet that someone made, please DM it to me.
Describe that. It's a 3-inch thick pile of tweets criticizing him, needling him, provoking him, isn't it?
In response to probably a pile this high from him about me, yes.
And you gave that pile, as you call it, to the court here today, right?
No,
So you don't have it then?
if I were to print out everything that he has written and said about me, it would take me years. He does 3 shows a week that are 3+ hours long each. He has Facebook, Twitter, every social media platform, posts about me daily for the past year.
And every
Talks
time,
about me daily
sorry, go
for the
ahead,
past year.
and every time,
Yeah, but it just didn't look. For those of you who don't come here around so often, I lost my dad a couple of years ago because doing the big coup, he lost his lung and heart functions more and more, and you could just see the legs balloon up, and he had to have compression socks and all of that on, and it just looks like really bad circulation. And I don't know how old is this lady. She shouldn't have cankles like that when she's her age. So I never really noticed before that leg looked that swollen. The other one didn't look as bad, so I'm thinking could be a blood clot in there.
time he tries to defend himself, you accuse him of something else, don't you?
No, that's false.
Well, she used to be Free Turtle Boy. Well, I don't know if the Free Turtle Boy is real, that shirt, but she used to be. She used to hook up with Aidan, and she used to be Free Karen Reed until she wasn't anymore, and then she was used to catfish him.
You also contacted him on February 22nd, 2024 at 1:57 a.m.
I've never done it.
That's the only contact I've ever had that I've already explained in court under oath. That was an accidental call when I was printing out
Oh, it's
evidence for my grand jury testimony the following morning. He was still in jail. And I accidentally hit the button because I fell asleep while I was printing, screenshotting and printing evidence from my phone.
So
what? She called him because she was printing. This is like when Brandon claims that he pocket blocks people.
Contact I've ever had that I've already explained in court under oath. That was an accidental call when I was printing out evidence for my grand jury testimony the following morning. He was still in jail. And I accidentally hit the button because I fell asleep while I was printing, screenshotting and printing evidence from my phone.
So you have to.
That's a lamer excuse than Brandon used. I fell asleep and accidentally hit the button that called him. You're in your phone. Let's say it's text messages. I can't. I have an Android which is superior. But it'll be very hard for me to accidentally hit the call button if I was in a text message. situation. If it's on Messenger, yeah, that's positioned the same place. I would have to hit a little icon up here to call. That doesn't seem likely. I understand her pain. Yeah, you do.
Go through 3 different efforts to unblock someone to then call them, right?
I didn't have him blocked. I had him unfriended. I never had him blocked.
Isn't it true that the printout of this call has an option to unblock him, which suggests that you had him blocked?
My dad's heart rate was also very high because it just didn't work. There was 50% heart function. And they just balloon up because they can't. The system is just not working anymore.
And I
took
can
the
show you that.
I already know. Yeah, I took the screenshot after because I blocked him immediately after I accidentally called him.
So this is a screenshot of your Facebook call to Mr. Carney,
And that's
correct?
actually his screenshot. So that's his option to unblock me, which means he had me blocked.
As he should. I offer this judge as the next exhibit.
Folks, once again,
Then you also, oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Any objection?
I mean, I objected the testimony about it. It's not correct what he's saying, but
And Aidan writes, she entered into evidence a screenshot showing me blocked. She would have to unblock me, verify the unblock, and then call me all while sleeping. Hey, it happens all the time in Canton.
All right, thank you. This will be entered as exhibit number 4.
Exhibit 4, enter.
See you later, buttface.
Ready, you may proceed.
And ma'am, you also called Mr. Carney Thursday, March 7th at 3:52 p.m.
no, I did not.
You texted him rather, I'm sorry.
No, I did not.
You did not. Let me show you this document. Have you ever seen that before?
Yes, I saw it in court at one of the hearings.
And that's a text that you wrote to Mr. Carney on that date, even though you had the restraining order, right?
Absolutely not. A text is not from me.
Well, it talks about things that only you would know, right? Like the fact that Mr. Carney was arrested.
I don't know how that's something that only I would know. Everybody knew. It was on the news.
Well, the message talks about his girlfriend Meredith. It talks about that he's going to jail, or he can live stream right now, apologize, and call yourself a little bitch. And you have 15 minutes to do so. Didn't you send that to Mr.
No,
Carney?
I absolutely did not.
Because the text message also indicates that the police came and looked at your cell phone that day.
Is she the one where she sued the parents because the parents tried to get her off of drugs and help the kids? I believe she's the one who put a restraining order on the parents for that one, because she was doing, was she an H or something like that? Remember that?
Only you knew that, isn't that right?
The police didn't come to look at my cell phone that day.
Hey, cops came up and asked to look at my phone and said you filed a complaint. So the text is in first person as if it's from you, right?
Wasn't me.
So you're saying that someone else just took it upon themselves to pretend to be you and address Mr. Carney demanding an apology?
There's nowhere stating on that message that they're pretending to be me. You're alleging that it's me based on your own made up story. It's not. It wasn't for me. I didn't text him. I have not contacted him. I want nothing to do with him. I don't text him ever, and I never have.
Well, the 3 inches of needling that we just went through show that you do want to mess with him. You do want to engage with him. Isn't that right?
No, I want to defend myself against the disgusting lies that he keeps spreading about me on his platform that has hundreds of thousands of viewers. I don't have an outreach like that. So he has destroyed my life with his lies.
Now, back to Ms. Bagwell for a moment. She went to the Attleboro court and got an order on you, correct?
Correct.
She also is the complainant in a pending criminal complaint matter as well. Isn't that correct?
I don't know.
How long is the harassment prevention order against you in effect for?
1 year.
do you have a date yet for the clerk's hearing as to the criminal complaint?
No,
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other evidence you want the court to consider?
no, Your Honor.
Because you rest at this time.
Yes, I do.
Attorney Grado, do you have any evidence you want the court to consider?
Judge, I'd ask that the court enter a required finding relative to the lack of reasonable fear of imminent bodily harm. As the court's aware, the plaintiff needs to establish anew that they have a pending current reasonable fear of imminent serious bodily harm. There's been nothing in the record other than a generalized fear of disparagement. And on the face of the record, as it stands, getting pushed to the couch over a year ago, wouldn't satisfy as a matter of law any sort of incident that would validate a fear of imminent serious bodily harm. Imminent, one thing about the legal profession, Judge, is that words have to have meaning. We all have to agree on the meaning of words. And imminent means something. Imminent is an element of that charge. And there's no imminency here. And there never was any imminency. And if the court wishes to hear more, we would put on Ms. Bagwell and Mr. Carney relative to this one precipitating incident over a year ago never happening. And so that's a factual issue. But in terms of we'll do it if the court doesn't rule in our favor on this. But the state of the plaintiff's evidence, before we go any further, is that she has a fear of disparagement. And, it sort of reminds me of O'Brien v. Borowski, Your Honor. Fear of being sued or fear of being disparaged is not a fear that can.
No, and another thing is, Aidan can do a lot of things, and he keeps on trucking. But imagine every single day you have to look over your shoulder and see if this lady is creeping up on you just to call police and claim you violated your RO. He's already under a massive pressure. He's daily attacked on every platform. Funny enough, I saw one of the anti-Karen Reed people in here to begin with, but they haven't really stuck around, so we don't have any BS really today. But he's constantly being harassed by people, way worse than she's claiming, that puts her in fear of her life. He was picked up by the police. I have a phone call.
Overcome the Constitution. It's not a fear that is lawfully recognized, especially in the 209A context, where the standard is reasonable fear of imminent serious bodily harm. So I would ask the court to enter a required finding against the plaintiff.
Which is not a typical motion in a restraining order. I'm going to make my conclusions after I've heard all the evidence. The motion for required finding is denied.
I appreciate it, Your Honor. I'd call Mary Bagwell, please.
Step forward.
And I think she's just right outside the door.
Sure.
Yes.
Mary Bagwell?
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear in the matter now in hearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
You may sit or stand, whichever is more comfortable for you. Please keep your voice raised for the record.
May I inquire? Thank you. Hi, Ms. Bagwell.
Hi,
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Mary Bagwell, Bagwell.
And do you live in the town of Mansfield?
Yes, I do.
Are you pretty much a lifelong resident of Mansfield?
Yes,
Do you have a family?
yes.
And who are they?
I have two sons, Jacob, he's 17, and Aaron, he's 29.
All right. And you're in the finance and accounting industry,
Yes, I am.
and you work for a government contractor here in Massachusetts?
Yes, I've been there for 24 years.
All right. And you're a single mother of the boys?
Yes, I am.
Do you know the person sitting at the desk right in front of you here?
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
Lindsay Catani.
How do you know her?
We,
Just in general.
we used to be friends.
And when did you first meet her, just in general?
April of, around the springtime of 2024.
And what was the context of meeting the plaintiff?
We did protests together.
And that was just to kind of move it along. It was the Karen Reed murder case, and you would protest in favor of kind of the prosecution position. Is that
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay. And so just so we're fair, it's not a position that was shared by Mr. Carney to your knowledge, right?
No, it wasn't.
And what were the kind of, what was the nature of your relationship with Ms. Gattani and how did it develop in a nutshell?
We started talking on the phone through a mutual friend, you recall.
This was the picture I was talking about. What I ordered on Temu, what I got from Temu. Girl knows her angles, knows her lighting. But it's probably not worse than most other people on Instagram and stuff like that. But it's a little different.
A three-way call. After a couple of calls, then we all created, they created a group chat in the Messenger app. And from there, we would frequently, almost every day, we would all be either audio calling or video calling each other. So we regularly stayed in contact.
Okay. And with respect to, strike that, you're aware of the criminal case that Ms. Gattani is involved in where Mr. Carney is charged with violating a restraining order, right?
Yes, I am.
And you're familiar with the case where Mr. Carney is accused of being at her house on the 23rd of December of 23 and some sort of altercation happened. Is that right?
Yes.
And so you were aware of these things when you were friends with Ms. Gattani?
Yes.
Did Ms. Gattani have a conversation with you in the summer of 2024 about the true events that happened at her house on December 23rd
Yes.
of 23? What was the conversation?
She had told me that Aidan had taken notes from her phone and he wrote them down in a notebook. When Aidan wasn't looking, she said that she ripped the pages out of the notebook and shoved them down her shirt. Aidan went to get his notes and noticed they were gone. He asked Ms. Gattani where the notes were and can you give them back to me, please? And from there, she ran into the bathroom, locked the door and called Ken Mello. And she said that he didn't answer. And that she had also stated that he didn't push her on the couch or assault her. He was just grabbing at the papers. He was trying to get his papers back.
Did she, strike that, did you say anything to her about what you thought she should do in light of what she had told you?
I said, you need to tell the truth. And she said, I can't because I have to stick with what I've already said.
Was there anything else, if you can recall, about that particular conversation about the incident involving Mr. Carney?
She just felt.
Does anyone know how old her kids are? Are they 6 or 8, maybe? There's something about a swimming pool also that she got mad about.
Very bad of what she did. She seemed to be struggling.
Did she ever, to your knowledge, act on feeling bad about it, or did she return to pressing that position?
Did she what? I'm sorry.
Did she act on that? Did she, to your knowledge, did she go to the police and explain it? Did she put out a tweet recanting it?
No.
To your knowledge?
No.
Did she return to the prior position that's what happened?
Yes.
Now, as your relationship with Ms. Gattani evolved, is it fair to say that the relationship got somewhat antagonistic?
Yes.
And tell us about that. What happened with respect to Ms. Gattani and the way that she treated you, just in a nutshell?
I was just trying to help her get help with her drinking. There was an incident on June 18th, 2024.
Well, let me just stop you there. I don't want to go through a whole litany of things.
Okay.
But is it fair to say that you wrote an affidavit and signed it and provided it to the defense today?
Yes.
All right. And Judge, I'd offer that affidavit as an executor.
Yeah, and that night in question where she alleges Aiden attacked her, uh, when he wanted to leave and she claimed she was preggo, she wanted him to stay there while she took a pill. And when he said, "I'm leaving now, you're cray cray," she went and woke up her kids so she would put them in her car, go to his driveway, sit in the car, and have a smortion on the front seat of her car with her kids in the back seat. Um, Come on now. We adults can do stupid stuff. We can be caught up in our stupid emotions, but it's just I just spent Christmas Eve with my ex-wife, who I don't remember fondly, but we played nice because it was my grandson's first Christmas, and we have learned that yeah, we don't talk because talking doesn't do anything good between us, but we can be together when it's about the kids because the kids are not part of our stupid adult problems. So this lady she's wicked crazy. Oh yeah, but I was talking about Aiden. Imagine how bad it must be for him to have this lady always been able to sneak up on him. I know you've been here for a long time. I know you're on my side, but it's just thinking about how hard mentally it must be to have this constant pressure because you are the front runner. It's the same with Tom, the way they treat him, the PDF file stuff and all of that stuff they accuse him of. These people are vicious people who will do whatever they can to ruin your mental state. And you can see the infighting that's going on in the anti-Karen Reads right now. True people trying to make a GoFundMe for this girl, and they are fighting constantly about loyalty and stuff like that. That's the problem when you have a hate group, because there's always too much hate to go around, so they'll start hating each other. Yeah, that's the question. 4 different dads.
I mean, I'm not gonna take the affidavit as an exhibit. I'll certainly hear her testimony, so you
Sure.
can elicit whatever you wish.
Very good. Thank you, Your Honor. That's fine. Thank you. Now, as the relationship kind of winded down between yourself and Ms. Gattani, how did she treat you?
She made threats to me. She called me and she threatened me, and she told me that I needed to shut my mouth and be quiet.
Did she threaten to murder you?
Yes, she did.
Did she threaten to murder your kids?
Yes, she did.
Were there more than 3 incidences of this type of behavior from Ms. Gattani?
Yes.
And did that prompt you to take some advice and go to the Attleboro court for an order?
Yes, it did.
And you got a criminal harassment order on her?
Yes, I
And
did.
that was fairly recently?
Yes,
When was it?
December 10th, my birthday.
And Ms. Gattani went there and she testified, right?
Yes, on December 24th.
24th
For the
for the
two-party
two-party hearing. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. And you witnessed her admit some things about your relationship and what happened, right?
Yes.
Did she admit threatening to murder you and your children?
Yes, she did.
What'd she say?
She admitted into the, well, first when my lawyer asked me,
Mary, as I've said many a time today, we men will stoop crazy a lot of times. We know it's not good for us. We regret it right after we have reached the place of the rain and the sky. We know, oh, you did this again. But the next time we are drunk at 3 a.m., we will still text you up. And then we'll remember, oh, that's why I don't see her on the regular. Men are stupid, sadly. But Aiden seems to have found a really nice girlfriend.
if there was any criminal charges pending. I said yes, and then the judge stopped and advised Ms. Catani of her rights, and she went into great detail and explained it. And then when she got to the December 10th date, she said, I highly recommend and urge you to stay quiet. And she did not listen to the judge. She admitted to everything. She admitted that she felt remorse. She felt ashamed of her actions of like threatening to come to my house. She threatened to kill me. She threatened to rip my fucking head off and to come to my house and murder me and my children.
How many separate incidences were there of that kind of behavior from Ms. Gattani towards you?
There were several.
Can you just put in a little more than several on it? What are we talking? A dozen, 8, 10, 6?
3.
3? Okay. What about calls from a block number?
Yes, yes. She admitted to Officer Kelly from the Mansfield Police Department. I did receive a phone call from Officer Kelly, and he stated to me that Ms. Gattani went down to the Mansfield Police Station and that she admitted.
I'm not gonna accept this testimony.
Hold on there, I'll ask you another question.
Okay.
Next question.
So just what you saw her say, tell the court just in general, the important things that you saw Ms. Gattani say right out of her own mouth.
She admitted that that was her on the recording and that she threatened to murder me and my children.
Nothing further. Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, this is your opportunity. If you have any questions for this witness, you may inquire.
Oh, this is interesting. She's now going to cross-examine a witness who has an RO against her. That's a special situation.
Isn't it true that you went on a talk show the night that you claimed that I called you and made threats to you?
Not that night, I did not. It was the day before.
It wasn't that night?
It wasn't that night. That was December 9th. When you threatened to murder me and my kids, it was December 10th.
December 9th was the talk show, and you went on a talk show,
Yes,
and you called in.
I was asked to call in, yes,
You were asked to call in. By whom?
by the moderator and the hosts of the shows. They asked me to call in because you and your friends have been attacking me on Twitter for over 2 months. And I don't have a Twitter, and you knew that, and
Wait
everyone
for the
knew
next
that.
question.
Do you realize that there is a recording of this entire show on YouTube?
Yes,
So you're stating under oath
there's a recording of what?
the show that you called into,
I mean, I haven't seen it. I just called into
but
it.
you're aware that it was recorded.
There
and
was,
published.
all I talked about was how my son saved your children 3 times from drowning because you were too drunk and too
I'm asking you if you're aware
intoxicated.
that it's published online.
You all know we watch a lot of trials on this channel. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. Now you have it on the court record that this lady's son saved her sons because she was too drunk to take care of them. That's now official court record.
I don't
So
know
you're
if it's
claiming that
published
somebody asked you to
online.
call in.
I don't know if it's published online or
So
not.
you called into the show, and one of the first things you said was that you have been involved with the Karen Reed case, that you initially believed that she was guilty, that you no longer believe that, and that Turtle Boy loves you. Did you not say
I
that?
did not say that.
So if we were to pull up the show
I
and
would,
play it today, we would not hear you say that Turtle Boy loves me.
Turtle Boy loves me. I didn't know.
So it's not true that you flipped sides, so to speak, for lack of a better word, went from being an anti-Karen Reed person to or anti-Turtle Boy person to a pro-Turtle Boy person before you called into that show and made several statements trying to help his case against me publicly on chats on YouTube, various YouTube shows.
I wasn't trying to help him. I have my own freedom of speech. I was lied to by you and Kate. So yeah, I stopped listening to you guys. That made you guys upset. I didn't follow suit. I had my own opinion. I started looking at the other
Answer the
news
question. Next
channels.
Do you have any proof of anything other than cordial interactions between you and I before the night that you called into that show talking about my children and making up lies.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can understand people being on the fence in the Karen Reed case. I can understand people believe she did it up until the trial, because I believe anyone who watched the trial, watched the evidence presented at trial, must believe there is at least reasonable doubt. And but all of these ladies are not against Karen Reed. They are against Turtleboy.
About my children.
I didn't make up any
Do you have any
lies.
proof of anything other than cordial interactions between you and I before that night?
I have a recording. Yes, I do.
Other than that night, do you have any proof of anything other than cordial interactions between you and I?
No.
So there's nothing except cordial interactions in text messages, on Messenger.
When people talk on the phone, you don't record them. When you talk, you're a very smart person. So when you don't make your threats in writing, you say it in person to that
Sorry.
Isn't it
person.
true that you
Sorry.
testified under oath at the restraining order hearing that I made a threat to you on a specific day, and later that day I provided evidence where you texted me telling with heart emojis and asking how I was and were being friendly with me this very same day that you claimed that I threatened you?
We were talking on the phone. That was prior to the end of the phone call is when you made the threat. So when I sent the text messages didn't go through until we hung up.
Isn't it true that you called into the show that night making up lies about my children because your friend had
That's not
private
true.
probate documents released and believed that it was me that posted them, and that you
No.
conspired to call into the show and make up lies about my children
No,
and try to support the defendant here?
no, that's not true.
Isn't it true that this is retaliatory and you're making this entire story up in your affidavit about this conversation where I allegedly told you that this assault never happened?
That's not true.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect?
No question, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Defense calls Aidan Turtleboys.
All right, so just remind you, you're still under oath. Please be seated.
May I inquire?
May I inquire?
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
My name's Aidan Carney, Kearney.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a journalist.
And what are you currently working on?
The Karen Reed case has been my passion for the last year and a half.
How many articles have you written and published approximately on the Karen Reed case?
463.
How long have you been covering it?
20 months now, 20 months.
How do you know the plaintiff?
We had a brief sexual relationship,
When was that, just in general?
September of 2023 to December of 2023.
Now, in that relationship, would you characterize it as carefree or difficult?
Difficult.
And why?
She would hurl abusive language at me a lot. Especially when she was drinking, demean me, make me feel like I was not a good person in order to just beat me down.
Now, at the time, you were still married, correct?
I was
And what was the status of your marriage?
sleeping on a couch and, as far
Remember Grandy? Oh, he just admitted to court that he slept with her while he was unfaithful to his wife. I'm pretty sure that has happened before. And again, I'm pretty sure Lindsay got no trouble, because why is she hooking up with a married man? Is she better than he is? No. She knew his status, and she didn't care. So why... But Grandy just want to spot that roast beef sandwich.
as that one, I guess I was living with my wife, still legally married. She's my ex-wife now, but it was not good.
Were you, is it fair to say that at that point when you took up with Ms. Katani that you were mutually going to end your marriage?
I'd say so, yes.
Now, Ms. Katani, at the winding down of your relationship, told you that she was pregnant, correct?
That's correct.
And tell us about what happened with respect to the circumstances of that in a nutshell.
She told me that when things started getting bad in the relationship and it seemed like it was going to end, she told me that she was pregnant, and I couldn't. Obviously, that made it a lot more difficult to end at that moment. And it caused a lot of anxiety and issues with me, obviously, because I have 2 children, and this would obviously cause a lot of issues. The entire time, as it turned out, the whole thing was a lie, and it was causing a lot of mental anguish in my life to the point where one night I had a really bad panic attack, and I started having. I just wanted to disappear. It's hard to explain, and I started walking down the road, and I in the dark, and I sent her a video of myself walking down the road in an extreme emotional distress state. I sent
Let me stop you right there. I want to ask you about that. You heard the plaintiff say to the court that you have mental health issues. Where would you say any mental health distress that you have came
from her lie about being pregnant. And
now, at some point, you started to stand up to her and break it off. Isn't that right?
Yeah, once I figured out later on in the relationship where I began to have serious doubts about the pregnancy and she couldn't answer questions for me, I attempted to end the relationship on December 9th.
And you received a call on the phone from her that day, correct?
I did.
What was the tenor of that conversation from her end?
Very threatening. She said that she wanted. I told her that if she was pregnant, I was worried that the baby would have fetal alcohol syndrome because she drank so much, and she told me that she was going to drop that fetal alcohol baby off of my house and party the effing night away. And then she said that she's going to be my biggest regret, that she will fucking destroy me, and she just basically said, like, if you leave me and don't.
Yeah, right now it's Turtle Boy who is on the stand testifying.
Don't talk to me, I'm going to ruin you.
That was on a December 9th phone call, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, sounds like that probably ought to have terminated any contact with this woman.
Yes, we didn't speak for about 10 more days around there.
So what happened with respect to kind of reapproaching each other? How did that happen?
Well, first she attempted to coerce me to come over to her house with the promise of a threesome. That was on December 21st, and I didn't go. And then on December...
Was that through text messages?
That was through text messages, correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then on December 22nd, that was the day I was arraigned. And
is that a Friday?
I don't remember the day of the week.
So it was an arraignment in the Superior Court, is that right?
That's correct.
So it's a case where you would have been indicted, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Did that indictment have anything to do with Ms. Gattani?
No, it's completely independent of her.
All right, go on.
And as soon as I got home, I got a message from her alerting me that she had just been visited by State Police Detective Brian Tully, who is kind of spearheading my case. And he had given her a summons to testify in what appeared to be a grand jury in my case on December 27th.
Were there a couple of things that Ms. Gattani referred to in an effort to have you come to the house?
What do you mean?
So you had this information about a pregnancy at the time. You weren't sure what
Correct.
the status
Yes.
was. Is that right?
Yeah, I was still. She was insisting.
Thank you so much, Brooklyn. I now have an innie instead of an Audi. Thinking about Kate naked. Ew. Oh, I think my T levels just dropped till 0. Thinking about that lady crawling across the bed, looking at me saying, "Hey, sailor, you want to ride the whale?"
That she was pregnant, and
were you asking her for some sort of corroboration or something?
I was.
Did you ever receive anything?
I received some photographs, including a pregnancy test that had metadata on it showing that the image was taken in May of 2023. I also received a picture that she sent me in late November of what she claimed was her at an abortion clinic in Brookline, she said. I later found out through metadata that picture was taken on December 4th, 2021. So the pictures she was sending me of evidence of this alleged pregnancy were all old photographs that she had taken from prior pregnancies.
So you have the pregnancy issue.
Ladies, not to pry or something. And I live in a different culture. We have other norms on that. How many take pictures outside of this Motion clinic? Is it something where you do the dog face? Just getting my weekly scraping making sure the beef curtains are ready for the next fella. Why do you have pictures of you at a Smith-Morton clinic? Seems kind of weird to me, but again, different cultures. Well, yeah, and don't keep your metadata on the pictures. I actually had a case where someone alleged rape, and one of the pictures that was introduced was her. We have a clinic on the hospital where you go if you are a sexual assault victim to get the grape kit, and she did do and send it to him and say, just letting you know where I am today, because that's what you normally do.
And then you have a subpoena. Is that right?
Correct.
What happened with respect to a subpoena? How did that figure into this?
Well, like I said, the attempts to get me over her apartment with sex wasn't working. And so she sent me this picture of a grand jury summons on December 22nd and said, I want you come over tonight and talk about it. And I said, no, I actually called you and alerted you to it. And you advised me not to go. And so I informed her that I would not be going, at which point she, threatened me and said that, well, if you don't come over, then I'm going to do what I have to do. And I'm going to tell the grand jury about the baby.
So you went over there, and did you try to limit your private encounter with her?
So the next day, so I initially told her I wasn't going to come. And then early on the 23rd, she then continued to tell me that she was pregnant and that she wanted to discuss that. And so she'd also told me that she had been speaking with a woman by the name of Kate Peter, who was antagonistic towards me, and that she wanted to come clean, and she said, and show me all the messages in her phone. And so I agreed to do so. I told her I want to meet in the conference room because I don't really trust you right now. And the police have been in your apartment. I don't trust them. So I'd like to meet you in a common area. And so we sat in the common area for 2 hours in her Medfield apartment. And
what were you doing during that 2 hours?
Well, we began to look through her phone in the common area, but she started receiving phone calls from her son, it was a lot of phone calls, and this had never happened before. And he called like 7 or 8 times, insisting that she come back into the apartment.
So the kids were up in her apartment?
That's correct.
How old are the kids?
2, 3, 5, and 11, or 12 at the time, I think.
So what happened with respect to you trying to stay in the common area or go into her apartment?
So she said, that I have to go in there now. Just come in here. Everything's going to be fine. And so I said, okay. And we went into her apartment. We continued to look at her phone. I never once touched the phone. She held it the entire time. And I took notes about what was in her phone. I was shocked and horrified about some of the things that I was seeing. And then at about 2:30 or 3 o'clock, we were done, and we were intimate. And shortly after that, it was Christmas Eve morning at this point, and I had to go home.
So it's like December 24th, like 3, 4 in the morning?
That's correct, about 3 in the morning. And I wanted to go home. And the best way I can describe it is she lost her mind. She snapped, and she said, "You can't leave me." And she then took what she claimed was an abortion pill, even though she wasn't pregnant, and said, "Now you can't leave me here. You can't make me do this abortion by myself." And I said, "I have to go home. It's Christmas Eve and you're not pregnant." And she then told me, she then woke up all 4 of her kids, started screaming at them manically, and said, taking their coats out and saying, "We're going to drive to Aidan's house so I can have an abortion in the driveway. And if he..."
No matter how effing crazy you are, men or women, keep your kids out of your adult life. It's not just absolutely crazy that you would do something like this. It's highly disturbing, especially the mental pressure you are putting on these kids. They don't have to be a part of your life. I don't care if you're making the beast with two backs with whomever you want. Again, believe in who you want, smacks who you want, do whatever you want, as long as you make sure that your kids are safe, well fed, and taken care of. I don't give two F's about anything. You can be the worst person on the planet in every other aspect as long as you just make sure your kids are okay. But don't wake your kids up at 3, 4 in the morning after you got mad your booty call wanted to leave you. Don't tell them, oh, I'm going to have a smorgasbord, and the guy who just emptied himself into me because I'm such a easy woman. I'm trying to keep it PG. You are a sick, sick person if you bring your kids into your adult stupidity. Stay off the kids. Stay away from them with all of your problems. I don't care if you have a new guy every night, as long as the kids don't have to deal with it. I don't care if you're such an idiot that you need to go to a smorgasbord clinic because you're too dumb to buy a rubber. I would prefer you didn't. I would prefer that you showed that you had a little bit of brain. But keep your kids out of all your stupid decisions. No kid on this planet needs to be anywhere near drama like this. If you're not grown up enough, then you definitely ain't grown up enough to spread your legs as much as you do that you have 4 kids and potential a couple of smorgasbords next to it. I don't give a F. Even if it's true all what she said about Aidan. Even if it was true that he flung her around the apartment and treated her like a piñata and everything. Let's just say that was true. You still don't wake your kids up and say, I'm going to sit in his driveway and have a smorgasbord. Call the popo and get them to take care of it. I hate. It's the same with people who use kids in an abortion, not an abortion, in a divorce against their former spouse. I don't care if it's the man or the woman. You don't bring your trouble to your kids. You don't talk bad about the other parent. No matter how bad they are, you will always be good to your kids. Feed them, keep them safe, and make them grow up as good, productive humans. I know I'm not a great father. I divorced my ex-wife when my youngest kid was 3 months old. I have been there for everything in her life that I could be. I have had her as much as I could, both of them. And I never, ever, even when my family wanted to say something bad about my ex-wife, I shut it down instantly. My kids should not hear bad stuff about their mom, no matter how I felt. I know it wasn't a reciprocal that she probably said some things, but I never, ever said anything bad about their mom because that's grown-up problems. That's us who didn't work out. That's us that couldn't make it work. You don't do this to your kids, or your kids deserve a better mom. I'm sorry. Oh, I should get that when the kids or the women come over. It would be a great streaming snack. Yeah, she filed a lawsuit to keep them away from her kids, as I know. Yes, and that's to protect you because kids will always love their parents because it's their parents. So I really hate, really hate this. No, it's it'll, and again, I have a good friend of mine who hooked up with a lady who who had a kid before that, and they were always bad mouthing the father. And I said, why? Well, we don't say it when he can hear it. I said, we're standing in your kitchen talking. He's sitting right there in front of the TV. Walls have ears. Even small walls have ears. And sure enough, it didn't take long. Then he didn't want to go to his dad, and it was so bad, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just, you don't bring it into their life. You just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. And then you can yell at them every single time you want. I had it, I knew if I had met a lady friend and my kids maybe heard about it, or I never introduced lady friends to my kids until we had been dating for a while, because I didn't want to get them into that revolving door mentality. Every time they met one of the ladies, she would call and yell at me for 5 hours. I'll just put my phone away, and then she'll just yell about skanks and hoes and stuff like that. But I never ever said to my kids, you can't tell your mom about this, because they don't need to be a part of your life. Yeah.
If I bleed out and crash my car along the way, then it's going to be his fault. You know, she frequently had done this before, threatening to kill herself and leave notes blaming me.
I will tell them Uncle Brandon made sure I met her because he made me go on Tinder.
In response to hearing that display, what did
You are roughly 2.5 hours behind.
you do?
I agreed reluctantly once the 5-year-old came out, and he just had a look of horror on his face. It's something I'll never forget. And for the sake of the children who I thought were in danger if she actually followed me to my house, I agreed to sit. She wanted me to stay for 3 hours. And so I sat on her couch until around 5 a.m. When she finally fell asleep. And then I walked out of the apartment and I drove home.
Did you assault her?
Absolutely not.
You throw her on the couch?
Absolutely not.
Did you grab her wrist?
Absolutely not.
Did you get in a struggle over pieces of paper?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, don't try and fix them. Get away from
Did she
people
lock
like that.
herself in the bathroom at some point in the evening?
Yeah, she did at one point go into the bathroom.
The next day,
Yeah, because if they smack talk their baby mama, they chose that baby mama. That's why whenever you're going on a date and people start talking about how bad the ex was, it's a red flag. Get away from there. It's like septum rings and blue hair. Just don't do it. Yes.
you later learn that she went to the police actually came to her, right?
Yeah, according to the police report, she called State Police Detective Brian Tully at around 11 o'clock.
She didn't call her town police?
No, she actually called Kate Peter for several hours. And we don't know what they discussed, but they spoke on the phone for a couple hours.
And you know this from discovery in your case, correct?
That's correct.
And the call to Detective Tully is the detective, or the lead detective on the case that you were just indicted for, right?
Yes, he's lead
Arraigned
detective.
the
That's
day
correct.
before.
And the Can't Read case.
Nothing to do with Medfield Police, nothing
We
to do
all
with domestic
do.
violence, correct?
We
Nothing.
do that too.
Did, to your knowledge, and you're having all the discovery in the case, to your knowledge, did Ms. Gattani ever call 911 or call her local police department or anything to that effect?
No, Brian Tully did.
And what happened with respect to Mr. Detective Tully calling the local police? Again, based on the discovery, what did you learn happened?
That Detective Tully called the police, and he's the one that told them that an allegation of assault, that she's claiming that she was assaulted. She never told them that initially. And so the Medfield police came to her apartment on Christmas Eve and spoke to her. And then she then told this story about me stealing paper from, or her stealing paper from me, and then me assaulting her because of that.
And that resulted, just to put a quick point on it, that results in charges against you. You come to this court, you get your bail revoked for 90 days. You end up being in jail starting on Christmas, the day before Christmas.
Day after.
Day after Christmas, sorry. You're in court on your birthday and you get your bail revoked and you're in jail for, the order was 90 days, but we got it back to 60 days, correct?
Yeah, I was incarcerated for 60 days.
And with respect to the incarceration, your mom was ill at the time, was she not?
She had pancreatic cancer.
And that was two months out of her life that you were deprived of, and she's since passed away. Isn't that right?
She died in June.
That's another thing that's just if this, which I believe but I have no proof of, is a conspiracy between the MSP and these ladies, they took 60 days away from Aidan spending the last couple of months with his mom on this planet. One of them even went to Twitter and wrote very nasty things after she passed away. I lost my mom to the big C as well. This stream is really bringing back all the fun times in my life. Every day that they took away from him, they should get 1,000 years in purgatory. Nothing is worse than just seeing them laying there, and you want to have as many experiences. All the good days, you want to take them out for dinner. You want to go see stuff. You want to talk to them the last time. You want to get them to. We had a book that she wrote in for my kids, and you just want to have one more day, one more phone call, one more argument over she always called you at the wrong time and asked stupid questions. One more time she called you and said, my computer is blinking. What's blinking? I don't know. Fix it. What did you do? I didn't do anything. But you want to be annoyed to all hell and back when she called you, talked about how she accidentally signed up for some scam, and you want her to yell at you again for doing something stupid. They took 60 of those days away from him. 60 days. For that, I hope everyone who is behind this will feel the worst torment in their life when they go to the other side. I hope they go down to a very hot place where they will pay a price for this.
So with respect to engaging in any conduct whatsoever that may have ever created a reasonable fear of imminent serious bodily harm, is there anything you can think of that you may have ever done to her that could ever satisfy that standard?
Nothing.
Did you ever create any revenge porn accounts against Ms. Gattani?
Absolutely not.
Did you record Ms. Gattani in this alarming evening that you described for the court? Did you resort to recording Ms. Gattani's outbursts, shall we say?
I did.
Why'd you do that?
Because I was scared for the children and I wanted to do it for my own protection.
Did you tell her?
Yes, I told her. I alerted her. That's correct.
And you have those tapes, correct?
I do.
Then fast forwarding, Ms. Gattani brings this February 26th, 2024 restraining order violation case, correct?
That's right.
Or she's involved in it, I should say, Judge. She's involved in that case, right?
That's correct.
So that case, taking the allegation there as it is, doesn't allege any violence or anything whatsoever relative to creating bodily harm. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
The allegation there is that you were in a certain proximity, correct?
Yeah, and then I yelled, liar, liar.
Judge, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, so we still have cross-examination and closings. It's 1 o'clock right now, so we're going to take the luncheon recess. We will resume promptly at 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. Let me make wire up.
Good, all right. What's the recess? Wait, quiet the room, thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Got that on.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor, would you like Mr. Carney to resume the stand?
Yes, sir, if you could please resume the witness chair. And as I said before, I remind you, you are still under oath.
Your Honor, if I may, I did speak with him. He just has a couple of things he wants to get out to the court. If I could have the indulgence.
Yeah, and please have the same talks if I have daughters. Have the same talk about, because it's always the interesting ones that's the bad one for you. But be open and honest about stuff with your kids, and don't make it that I'm gonna ban you from doing this, because then it'll be interesting. But have honest talks about the troubles they can run into in their life.
I've asked him a couple of additional questions before.
We have not turned to cross just yet. We're about to begin that, but yes, I'll give you a couple.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Your Honor. May I inquire?
You may.
Mr. Carney, you have been under this order for how long now, sir?
It's been 1 year.
Under the year of the order, how has that affected your actions, your behavior, your mental state?
I live in constant fear of going back to jail due to the existence of this order and her history of attempting to weaponize the order to trigger a violation. I'm constantly in fear that she's going to show up at my kids' basketball games and my kids' soccer games because she's shown up at so many places before. On June 28th, she showed up at I was outside the courthouse supporting Karen Reed, and she barged through, the group that I was with. And I literally had to run for safety and find a police officer and say, there's a person here who has an order against me, and I want to document this and film this and let you know I am walking away. I'm trying to stay away from her. I'm just constantly in fear because of the existence of this order. And I have to see a therapist. The 60 days away was extremely traumatizing. I have 2 young children who didn't know where I was for 60 days. And on March 14th, we had another bail revocation hearing 20 days after I got out of jail. And I found out that they wanted to send me back for 120 days because she showed up to where I was at the courthouse on February 26th.
That was the incident we discussed here about you having to leave court.
That's right. And I left and I went to where a police officer told me. And I just remember thinking, like, where can I go that's safe? I just signed up to be my kid's basketball coach. And I had to actually think, like, what if I go to jail? Who's going to coach the team? Like, should I even do this? Because I'm constantly living in fear because of the existence of this order.
Do you have any interest at all in engaging her, provoking her, being anywhere near her, assaulting her, harming her, talking to her?
No, I want to be as far away from her as possible.
All right, thank you, counsel. So, ma'am, this is your opportunity to inquire whenever you're ready.
Yeah, he sounds very. It sounds genuine, especially the way. It's going to be interesting to hear how he responds when she's cross-examining him. I just want to shout out our great Buckeyes of the Ohio State is going to the national championship. Bye-bye, fist bump. Jamie will be so pleased.
Mr. Carney, you're charged with violating this order, and there's a pending criminal case in this very court for that, correct?
That's correct.
And I am the named victim in that pending criminal case. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And separate to that, you also have an open felony case in the Norfolk Superior Court related to the charges of wiretapping and witness intimidation against me, correct?
That's correct.
I'm also the named victim in those pending felony matters as well, correct?
That's correct.
You're also facing numerous other felonies in regards to witness intimidation and other charges, correct?
That's correct.
With other separate witnesses, correct?
That's correct.
So, Carney, do you remember? Or let's see, straight that. Episode 645 of your YouTube show on March 12th. You said the following, didn't you? And I'm quoting you. And hopefully that continues on Thursday because I don't want to go back to jail. That would suck, especially over some bullshit lies. This shit needs to end, man. This shit needs to end. But I got a great attorney and a great defense team, and we're gonna fight hard and we're gonna win. We're gonna take them down, man. I'm not going to jail. Fuck that. I already did my time. If they send me back to jail, I know it would be somebody's like, yeah, people would riot. People would be fucking outraged because everybody, when I was sent to jail for the first time, you guys didn't know about Lindsay Gattani. You didn't know her. Now you know. You said that, didn't you?
I'd have to hear it.
Another episode, didn't you also say, who's the scary one, me or them? Me? I'm the one that knocks, motherfucker. They should be 1,000,000 times more scared of me than I will ever be of them because I'm a relentless, vengeful cunt, hell-bent on putting them all in prison. that doesn't scare the shit out of you, what does? And I got a large platform to do it, and I'm fucking smart and savvy, and I know what the fuck I'm doing. You said that too, didn't you?
I don't recall saying that.
Mr. Carney, you mentioned that you sent me a video, which you described as showing you having a panic attack. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in that video, isn't it true that you were walking down a dark highway, threatening to walk into oncoming traffic because I tried to break up with you? Isn't that correct?
That's incorrect.
Isn't it true that you hung up
Hold on a
after?
minute. Stop. Take that computer and leave the courtroom. This is the second time I've warned you. I'm gonna make this as clear as I can possibly make this, okay? Don't shake your head.
Oh, this is Grande second warning. Just a nice little breakup.
Isn't it true that you hung up
Hold on a
after?
minute. Stop. Take that computer and leave the courtroom. This is the second time I've warned you. I'm gonna make this as clear as I can possibly make this, okay? Don't shake your head. Be quiet and listen, okay? What's your name?
Grant Smith Ellis, Your Honor.
Sir, you did not ask permission to record this. You did not ask permission to videotape these proceedings. You have a laptop open. I can see the light illuminating throughout this proceeding. Don't shake your head. Keep listening, okay? I'm warning you now, okay? If I see you recording, if I see you videotaping in defiance of my previous notification to you not to do so, you'll be fined up to $2,000 and sentenced to up to 90 days in the House of Correction for each contemptuous act that follows. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, take the computer and remove it from the courtroom. You are welcome back in, but the computer is not. Thank you.
So just want to tell you, that gentleman has nothing to do with the defendant or the defense.
Okay, I don't consider him having anything to do with either party.
Thank you.
I just,
Well, he is her white knight. So, but the things she just stated that I don't want to go back to prison. I'm gonna fight. That's not a threat against her, and they should be more afraid of me. I want all of them to go to prison. It's not a physical threat. That's I thought that that Mary chick said she was a smart one. This one, but she's not. Oh, I shouldn't call her Mary chick. Mary, that woman. But that's not smart because that's not threats against her. She's seeking an RO. That means there's an imminent danger to her. And he says they.
know he was an individual in the gallery that was recording or attempting to record in an unauthorized fashion, and he's been warned. Ma'am, you may proceed.
Thank you. Isn't it true that you, after you threatened to walk into oncoming traffic, that you shut your phone off, you hung up and shut your phone off, and called me back an hour later, acting like nothing had ever happened?
That's incorrect.
Isn't it true that this wasn't the first time that you threatened to kill yourself when I tried to break up with you or wouldn't answer your calls?
You've never tried to break up with me.
Didn't you also do this before knowing about my pregnancy? Because you would use that as your excuse for your alleged panic attack.
You were never pregnant.
Isn't it true that you used similar threats with another ex-girlfriend and threatened to kill yourself with an extension cord when she tried to break up with you?
That's incorrect.
Didn't you admit on your YouTube shows about needing to take a break in the past because of your suicidal ideations when you were caught cheating on your wife?
I've had to take a break for mental health issues before.
You claim that I lured you to my house on December 21st for a threesome. Isn't it true that you willingly came to my house on December 20th and had sex with me?
I did.
And if I wanted to set you up, I could have done so then, couldn't I have?
You could have.
I didn't need to lure you to my house because you came over my house willingly to have sex, correct?
Not on the 22nd.
Mr. Carney, you took me to a bar in Norwood on October 20th.
She is pro se. I don't know someone here who knows way more than me. Allegedly, there was a fundraising for 6 or 8 grand to pay her lawyer. She paid a retainer of $1,500 and then wanted it back or something, and now she's pro se. I don't know the story. I just read on the twats, but someone who there will be someone in chat who can give you the full picture.
23, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that night that I only had 2 drinks?
No, you had more than 2 drinks.
After the trip to the bar, you drove me home, isn't that correct?
I did.
Oh, is she gonna go into where she claims she's raped? Police watched the video. They said no signs of rape. You were a willing participant.
During that drive home, I refused to engage in sexual activity with you. Isn't that correct?
That's incorrect. It's not, I didn't ask for it.
Did you
Isn't that where she texted him the next day and said, "Are you? I didn't even give you roadhead or something like that."
not claim on many of your YouTube shows that I, quote, refuse to give you roadhead?
On which night are you talking about?
The night in question in October of 2023,
Which,
when we went to the bar in Norwood.
which day? We went a few times.
The night in question, when we were driving home, you just answered that you drove me home after the bar. Isn't it true that you stated to your audience that I pretended I had to throw up to get you to pull over to the side of the road?
You were berating me and telling me that.
Isn't it true that you stated that I pretended I had to throw up?
Your objection is sustained. You may finish your answer.
You were berating me, dehumanizing me, telling me I was worthless and what a horrible person I was. And then you said that you had to throw up. And I pulled over, and that is the reason that there was no sexual relations in the car on the ride home.
Isn't it true that after you pulled over and I got out of the car to pretend to throw up, that you stated that I ran down the middle of the street in the dark to try to escape from you?
You were not, you began walking down Route 109 in Westwood in the dark.
Isn't it true that you also stated that a couple in a car pulled over to try to offer me assistance?
That did not happen. I do not recall that happening.
Isn't it also true that you stated that you then persuaded me to get back into your vehicle?
I did not want you to get hit by a car. I was worried about you, so I asked you to get back into the car.
Isn't it true that we then went back to my apartment?
That's correct.
Isn't it true that at that point I was blackout drunk and you raped me?
No, that's incorrect.
Isn't it true that you recorded the rape?
It's incorrect. I did not
Isn't it
rape
true
you.
that you showed the recording of the rape to multiple people?
You showed it to the police and they said it wasn't rape.
That is not what the police stated in the report.
It
Isn't
is.
it true?
Objection to counsel testifying to the plaintiff testifying your own motion straight.
Isn't it true that you got a copy of the rape?
Hold on. As to that last objection, sustained, motion to strike allowed. Next question.
Isn't it true that you got a copy of the police report regarding the rape during the discovery process for your current criminal trial, and you gave it to another person on an anonymous Twitter account to post publicly, completely unredacted, with all of the sexually explicit information and details about the rape and my identifying information?
Objection. Sustained.
Mr. Carney, on February 23rd, you were indicted on the wiretapping and witness intimidation charges. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
On February 28th, are you aware that I was called to the Medfield Police to answer to false claims of you reporting me for wiretapping?
They were not false claims. You did wiretap me by putting a Ring camera video in your bedroom and filming us having sex without my consent.
Isn't it true that I was not charged with wiretapping?
Not yet.
Isn't it true that on February 26th, you violated the restraining order, and a mere week later, on March 6th, you then went to the Dedham Police to file another retaliatory claim against me for filing a false police report?
I never violated the order, and I did go to the Dedham Police to file a factual false police report against you because you lied in the report by saying that I yelled "liar, liar" at you when video evidence shows that no such incident occurred.
Mr. Carney, on March 14th, 2024, you had an arraignment for an RO violation and hearing for dangerousness, bail revocation, and just report from Judge Pomeroy.
A funny little thing. Again, I don't believe in body language experts and all of that, so I don't take it as that. Remember when Mary Backwoods, what her name was, when she was on the stand being interviewed with her, you could hear her voice was shaking because this is the lady she has a restraining order against that's interviewing her. She sounded scared. This is the lady who, during her opening statement, said she couldn't sleep, eat, drink, think because Aidan was so horrible to her. Is that the voice you're hearing now? I know I always said you can't tell anything, but to me she sounds angry. She sounds like I've heard that voice before, and that's when you know the shadows are getting long and the sun is going down on this relationship.
On several weeks later, April 11th, you posted and announced on Twitter that you were filing a motion to try to have my restraining order vacated. Isn't that true?
I did file a motion to have the restraining order vacated.
Based on these instances, wouldn't you say it's fair that this tit for tat retaliation has been on your behalf, not mine?
I don't understand the question.
Is she slow in French? It's tit for tat retaliation.
You see that the Dedham police
You want a
informed you-
restraining order?
while you were recording that you could stand, this is on February 26th, that you could stand on the steps of the Registry of Deeds and that would be fine. Isn't that correct?
He said, go over there. He
But Mr.
pointed,
Carney, when Officer Crump testified on March 14, 2024 at the Dedham District Court, he told the court that at no time that at the time he did not know who you were talking about and where you were talking, where the person was at the time. Isn't that correct?
he told me to go stand over there. So I went to where he told me to stand.
Isn't it correct that he said you should go stand over there for now and then we would figure it out?
He said something to that nature.
Mr. Carney, you
correct?
never followed up with that officer again at any point after that, did you?
Within 5 minutes, the hearing was over.
Mr. Carney, isn't it true that after you followed me to my car, the following day you wrote a blog about me, a very lengthy blog in which you posted numerous pictures of me, videos of me, slandered my name, and made light of the situation?
I never followed you to your car. And I don't make light of any of this.
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Jamie Director, Attorney Gray.
Yes, Judge. You ever been charged with rape as a result of any allegation from this plaintiff?
I've never even been questioned by police about it.
And you received a police report and discovery about it, correct?
I did.
And the police report goes through all of the texting and the police review of the videotape from the sexual encounter that you had that night with Ms. Katani, does it not?
The consensual sexual encounter, correct?
And the police reviewed it, wrote a report on it, talked all about the text exchanges between the two of you, correct?
Correct.
And the police report recreates all of them, doesn't it?
Yes.
I wouldn't suspect anything else that one, she has a lot of experience in getting ROs because all of her baby daddies have one, maybe, or allegedly, I don't know. And I bet you there was a group effort to write these questions. Most of it, I would assume, because then they could use this recording the same way I'm doing now to make fun of this woman and show how horrible she is. I bet you some of the people who backs this lady up wanted these questions out there so they could claim that he raped her and all of that, as they have been doing for the last half a year.
And in those texting, she indicates in a nutshell that she doesn't remember the night before, correct?
I believe something of that nature,
As
yes.
opposed to that she didn't consent to the night before. Her statements to the police are that she didn't remember the night before, right?
Yeah, she specifically said, I don't care.
She said, I don't care. I just wish I could remember it because it takes away all the fun, not being able to remember a single thing we did. And I only remember getting out of the car.
Yes, she has
She
all of
was
it.
not upset in any respect about the sexual encounter the night before, was she?
No, she was very excited about it and very happy about the video when I sent it to her.
Judge, I'd offer the police report on that into it.
Yes. Any objection? Madam Plaintiff,
No, Your Honor.
this item will come in as exhibit number 5.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Any further redirect?
Just one moment, please, Ron.
Sure.
Now, in the district court, Mr. Carney, you were charged with assault and battery on a family or household or dating relationship person.
I was.
And that case was taken to Superior Court, was it not, through indictment?
It was taken to a grand jury.
And after that, it went to Superior Court, correct?
I don't think it never made it that far
Well, not
because
the charge, the case in general, I'm sorry, I'll ask you a better question. The case in general was taken out of here to the Superior Court, correct?
yeah, 2 of the 3 charges ended up making it to Superior Court.
And with respect to the assault and battery charge, was there, again, from your knowledge of the discovery in the case, was there a request from the prosecutor, Mr. Novak, to obtain an indictment from the grand jury on the same charge from here, the assault and battery charge?
Yes, Mr. Novak asked the grand jury to indict me on assault and battery.
And in terms of the charges that emanated and were brought in Superior Court, did that assault and battery charge get out of the grand jury?
No, it did not.
All right. And you've seen the judge, just a little guidance from the court, if I may, Your Honor. I have 1 page from the grand jury, which, ought to be impounded, I suppose, that corroborates my client's testimony that Mr. Novak asked for A and B indictment, and it was not granted by the grand jury. And I also have the docket from that case in Superior Court, which lists the charges with there's no assault and battery charge. So the grand jury did not find probable cause as to this very charge, which was the only charge anywhere in this entire record of this case that could ever be seen to support a 209A restraining order. So I would offer the docket and the 1-page grand jury proposing it under impoundment to show, support, and corroborate the defendant's testimony that this charge was never even sustained as to probable cause in the grand jury.
I see the
Yes.
documents.
For the record, Judge, I'm giving you the Superior Court docket on this case that emanated out of this court. There's no assault.
It seems like he found a nice girlfriend. What's it? Meredith? Can't remember her last name, but she seems cute. And even though she's been windheaded when some of the crazies come around, she doesn't seem like she's too shaken by that. Hey, Lindsay, call me. I have some calf exercises that might be beneficial because I'm a bit worried about that fluid buildup in your left calf area. But call me. We'll do I'm probably going to be in the US in the end of May in your area. We'll hit the gym. No smexy time, but I'll teach you some stuff.
Battery charge and just the 1 page of the grand jury.
Meredith O'Neill, yeah, like April O'Neill, the turtle. Oh, I didn't realize that till now. April O'Neill was with the Turtles. Meredith O'Neill is with Turtle Boy. It was meant to be.
All right, so I think the docket
Hey, Scotty.
is relevant and will come in. The grand jury minutes are not coming in.
Yes, sir.
So the docket,
The only thing I do that's near my head with my calf is standing calf raises. But that's also a 440-pound calf raise. So Daddy got some big calves.
the objection to the docket. Yeah, Madam Plaintiff.
Sorry, I'm not.
Okay, that'll come in as exhibit number 6. And your motion to admit the grand jury minutes.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you. Defense counsel.
Any recross?
No,
All right, thank you, Mr. Kearney. You may step down. Attorney Bradel, any other witnesses?
No, you are.
You rest at this
Thank
time.
you so much. Yep.
So this time, both parties have rested. We'll start with counsel for the defendant. Attorney Bradel, I'll give you an opportunity to make a closing argument. The Madam Plaintiff, you'll get the last word, and I'll hear your closing argument as well. Thank you.
Judge, I appreciate the attention and the time you've given to this case. I'm not going to belabor the closing since it was the subject of your attention and scrutiny, as I saw. And I just want to say that there's no evidence here, Your Honor, that this plaintiff is reasonably in fear of imminent serious bodily harm. And more to the point, she's equivocating about being in fear of imminent serious bodily harm, where we see from her October 15th tweet, this is no shrinking flower. She is not afraid of Mr. Carney in any respect. She's always been the aggressor in this relationship. She's the one that threatens people when things get tough on her. She lashes back out. She doesn't shrink away, Your Honor. She threatens people. She told Mr. Carney that it was going to be the biggest regret of his life breaking up with her. I think the biggest regret of his life is probably going with her to begin with. And, he's been suffering for this ever since. We have a very credible witness who came in here and told the court that, number one, the plaintiff recanted this bogus allegation, as minimal as it is, and as non-serious bodily harm as it is, that she recanted it, and she admitted to her that it didn't happen, and that once she kind of got that rock rolling down the mountain, that she wasn't going to change it, that she couldn't change it. And that is consistent with her character, or her lack of character, her abusive, threatening way that she treats anyone that crosses her. And she continued that with Miss Bagwell when she tried to express her opinion about some of the dangerous behavior, self-harming behavior that the plaintiff got into. She got threatened up and down all over the place. And that's what this plaintiff has shown herself here to be, is someone who is the aggressor, who threatens. And when the machine of the government's 209A framework is handed to her, she uses it as a weapon. The only abuse in this case is her abuse of our 209A system, which is incredibly important for legitimate victims of domestic violence. And she's done nothing but secure the benefits of that through lies. She uses it as a sword rather than a shield. She goes to where Mr. Carney is. It's no different than if Mr. Carney worked down the street at the Shell station in the garage, if she went down there to provoke him and antagonize him. She knows that Mr. Carney is working the Karen Reed case. She developed this phony interest in the case only to antagonize and further torment Mr. Carney. That's what the evidence here showed, Your Honor. It's high time that the court system, that Your Honor, the fact finder in this case, saw the case for what it is, which is nothing but a torture device for Mr. Carney. He has never put his hands on her. He never did any of the underlying actions here. And that said, Judge, I think that's overwhelmingly what the evidence shows. But even if it was one of those scenarios where us lawyers kind of take the truth of the matter asserted and just look at it that way, which I hate to do, but let's do it. Getting pushed on a couch over a year ago does not warrant this order today and now. That's the sort of the secondary argument, Judge, that we don't need to go into what happened, what didn't happen. I think the evidence is overwhelming that it didn't happen. But
I
even
understood
if
it
it
with
did happen,
dates.
it's not something that ought to support another year of a restraining order where she's going to use it and use it consistently with the history she's already shown, how she uses it as a cudgel to torture Mr. Carney, to make him have to leave the courtroom, make him have to run away from her all the time. You're not afraid of someone, Judge, when you go to where they are. You're not afraid of someone when you generate 3 inches of antagonistic tweets and Facebook posts or whatever it is, criticizing him, antagonizing him, making false charges against him. She's trying to engage with him. She's trying to provoke a violation. So, Judge, here I ask the court to conclude that this plaintiff has zero credibility in terms of being a supposed victim. She makes a mockery of being a victim. She reaches out and tries to destroy people. And I hope that this court, I have every confidence that this court sees the facts of this case for what it is. And I ask that you vacate this order. There's no need for this order. There's no danger. The only danger here has been to Mr. Carney's mental health based on all of her actions. So I would ask you to vacate the order. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Bradley. Madam Plaintiff, this is your opportunity to make your closing whenever you're ready.
I want to reiterate that I am in constant imminent fear of the defendant. That is a fact. Ms. Attorney Bradle has no way of getting inside my head and knowing what I experience every day. I'm a single mother of 4 children, very young children, and they live in fear.
If you were, and when she watches this later, or some of the sycophants who hang around that crew, if you were such a good mother to these poor young children, you would turn off your twat, you would lose Kate Peters' telephone number, you would tell Grant, take your weed smoking, smelling behind away from me. I need to clean up my act. I have 4 children that I need to show how to be an adult. You would stop wasting everyone's time running into courtrooms, taking out ROs against everyone. But sadly, you're a kid who had kids. You will never grow up. And sadly, having you as a mother, even though as harsh as it may sound, will probably not give them the best start of their life. Because without an adult to show them how to be adults, they will struggle to find their way in life. Sadly, that's how it is. In Denmark, we have a saying that's dandelion kids. It's kids who got a rough start in life and all the bad cards on their head because they can break the bad social inheritance they got. I know you have a teenager now. You should really close your legs, open your mind, and take care of your kids. Think about the kids instead of using them in a court battle against a guy who's just not that into you. I'm pretty sure that if you could stay off the source, if you could stay off the drama, if you could stay off the attention seeking and just accept that you are a middle-aged woman almost. She's only 30 something. Yeah, but you're at your end of your childbearing period then. You had the kids you should have. Now you probably should get a job, get a stable life, get up every morning, make sure they go to school, go to work, come home, help them with their homework, and teach them what a stable, boring life is, because most lives are not filled with drama. Most life is absolutely boring 90% of the time, and then you have fun. Grow up, lady. You're not 16 anymore. You should be an adult by now. If you're old enough to poop out for children, you should be old enough to be a mom to them.
I'm scared every day of my life when I wake up and I have to leave my house or send them to school. I'm terrified that he'll show up to their school or recruit one of his crazy fans to do something on his behalf. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, worried about being followed. I have been followed numerous times. I'm worried without this order, there's going to come a day where he's going to get desperate enough to do something that there's no coming back from. My children, their lives have been severely impacted. I have developed almost an agoraphobia where I'm afraid to go out with them and bring them to the park. The only trauma, they were never woken up that night. That all of that was just a bogus lie concocted by Mr. Carney, and the only trauma they have is the trauma that they've seen as a result of what he's put me through, seeing their mother crying constantly because of the torment and harassment that he puts us through on a daily basis, posting my children's private probate documents and pictures of them online, and the threats, the phone calls, and I mean, I have panic attacks constantly. I'm in therapy. There's no doubt in my mind that if this restraining order is not renewed, he's going to ramp up his harassment, continue the stalking, and actually physically harm me to prevent me from testifying. He tried to prevent me from testifying and got the witness intimidation charges by bringing up private and probate documents from my past and threatening to publish those online and using his platform to do so. He has shown that his mental health is not stable. I don't know what he's capable of. I don't want to have to come back every year and face him. Or I mean, I went to 2 hearings. I had involvement in or interest in the case long before I ever met him. That's how I met him, because he was covering the case and I bought a Karen Reed t-shirt. That is how I met him. This wasn't me seeking him out. Mr. Carney has a history of doing this to multiple people. He has bragged about, I think he said, over 20 people trying to get orders on him and never once succeeding. And
Objection to argument outside the evidence.
It's outside the scope. Your objection sustained. You may continue your argument, but not on that topic.
the order is not supposed to prevent me or stop me from living my life. And That's what he's been trying to make it do. I shouldn't have to stop the things that I'm interested in or not go to places. I mean, I lived in Dedham my whole life. I mean, this is where I grew up. He lives in Western Mass. He comes out here, out this way. There's no reason for him to be out here. The rape investigation also is still open. I was informed by the Medfield detective just 2 weeks ago. And he says he wants nothing to do with me. He posted about me just 2 or 3 days ago, I think it was. Still posts about me to this day. He's the one constantly.
It's not a physical threat to your life if he goes on and says, I'm going to court with the fake victim in 3 days. Could this lady just drop it and get a hold of her life? That's not a physical threat to your life. You don't. I hate women like this. People like this is why so many people say, yeah, sure, honey. Yeah, we've seen this before. She and AH and people like that, they're giving real victims a bad name because maybe she and Aidan didn't have the best breakup in the world. But as much as she claims she's afraid of him, I can see her on the thread as well. She never shies away from taking a dig at Aidan. They had 3 inches of tweets and Facebook posts that she's written. If she was so afraid, she would get rid of her Twitter account, which she does every month anyway, because she gets into so much trouble. And then she would go smell the roses, take her kids, leave this crazy case. I can see this case. I'll get weird messages after it as well. I don't care. At least I'm at least 7,000 miles away from the closest idiot. I've had my death threats from people who lived in the same time. That's more fun. But a really easy way to not have any fear of anyone saying anything about you is just get off those stupid social media where you think that you have to fight people. But you love drama. Drama is what's keep your engine going.
Provoking and harassing. This is about power and control with him, and I've seen him do this to other people, and I just want to be left alone. I want to be able to resume some normalcy for my children and I, and that'll never happen if this order is not renewed. If this order goes away, there is not a doubt in my mind that this man who is hell-bent, has admittedly stated that he's hell-bent on revenge, is going to try to concoct something just like he uses his fans as a tool to be able to do so. And I would just ask that
look, Scotty, you're on double screen
and,
now.
and one more thing I just want to mention, the restraining order violation. He did the right thing at first, leaving the courtroom. If he had just left the area and left completely, he wouldn't have been charged. There's no way to set somebody up. If you see them and you leave the area, that's what you do. He made a conscious choice to stay in the area, there's pictures of him in video, hiding in the bushes, following me as I walked to my car, filming me. I mean, he wrote a blog about me the next day using.
You have no proof of that. Why didn't you bring in some evidence? This is a he said, she said. What about that officer you talked to? He wouldn't testify to what you're claiming now.
Those pictures that he took, all he had to do was leave the area. I mean, there was nothing, the hearing was over at that point, and he made a conscious choice to stay. I just respectfully ask you, Your Honor, to extend this order and as the only means of trying to keep me and my children safe. That's all that I ask.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm about to render my decision, but before I do, I just want to caution all in the gallery. I heard a couple noises and some disruption during these proceedings. And I'm going to warn you now, decorum will be maintained. I don't want to hear any outbursts. I don't want to hear negative or positive outbursts. Okay, decorum will be maintained out of respect for both the plaintiff and the defendant. So I've had an opportunity to consider the evidence that has been presented before me, and I have to consider whether or not I'm going to extend this order. I find that the plaintiff has not met her burden and that there is not a likelihood of further abuse, and the order will not be extended and will expire at 4 p.m. today. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's that. That's too bad. Let's see who this lady also is.
All right, I gotta go. Come on, get out of my car, please. Lindsay, can you get out of my car? Lindsay, get out of my car. The kids are sitting in there, probably sweating, so get out of my car, please. Come on, I gotta go get an oil change. I'll say bye to the kids. What's that? And you didn't do that for my car. Shut the fuck up. No, you didn't. Why did you say you did that for my car and you didn't?
What for your car?
You said you called it in. You did that.
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Yes, I fucking did. And you're welcome, by the way. I fucking go and help you
I
out.
said thank you.
And then you fuck me over behind my
How did I
back.
fuck you over?
You're a
They're
fucking
taking 65%.
No, they're not. They're allowed to take 65%.
There is.
Before taxes, it has not been anywhere near 65%. You're going to be proven wrong when they do the math in court. Because every fucking pay step, they're going to go back and look. And it
Here
hasn't
comes
been
the cops,
anywhere
Lindsay.
near.
Lindsay,
You're
here
so
comes the
dumb.
police.
You're so dumb.
Here comes the police, Lindsay. Lindsay, here comes the police.
No fucking education.
Lindsay, here comes the
Doesn't even know
police.
anything.
Here comes the police, you asshole. Get out of my car. Come on. Lindsay, get out of my car. Nice going, Lindsay.
You better stop, Frankie, because I'll tell them.
Get out of my car.
You better stop. You better stop.
Thank you.
You better stop.
Thank you. Nothing. Oh, nothing. I just talked to you, and she may come over with my.
She sounded a little bit different in that video than, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Your Honor. I'm so afraid. I'm taking care of my kiddos, and I just want to be left alone." Yeah, you can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool all people all the time. And she just let her kids sit in the car while she was smoking in the front seat of his car, calling the popo on him and getting him back in prison because he didn't give her the correct amount out of his paycheck or something. How much money do you get from his paycheck if he's in prison? 65% of nothing is a whole lot less than 65% of a little bit. No, imagine this is your day every single day. You're putting your 4 kids into a car, driving around, hounding some deadbeat dad that you let between, what is it they say? Let's say your one leg is Christmas and the other one is Easter. Can I visit you between the holy days? Imagine this being your life. You're banging every deadbeat out there and getting impregnated because you have so little control over your life. You can't say, "Hey, fella, do you know what they have at the gas stop for $2? An anti-child support system. That's really easy to get. And if you're in Denmark, you learn about those in 7th grade. You'll be taken to the prevention clinic and shown all the different kinds of prevention. So no one can come claim when they're 30-something and having their 4th SMEX mistake that, "Oh, I didn't know you can get those." Because we all know most places you can even get them for free when you're young, because it's better to prevent it than having them live in a hellhole like this. Sadly, some people think with the wrong body parts. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 dads. I wasn't allowed to call it the beef curtains or the roast beef sandwich anymore, so I tried something new. Yeah, when prison is a better option than being at home with her. I try. I'm just saying, if her, Jamie, close your ears. If her piss flaps were tires, they would need a rotation. Jamie, you can listen again. Variety is the spice of life for her, but then don't go after all these old guys that, I don't know, was it El Drogo, or why did she hook up with these people? I like roast beef sandwiches, so yeah, let's not call it that. One psychiatrist I sent patients to got fired from an agency for suggesting sterilization to a mom like this. We used to do it in Denmark. Probably not the best thing because people can get better with age. When you're buying Greenland, you'll find out we did it to a lot of Greenland women as well. Don't hold it against us. It's back in the day. But I'm just saying, thank you to the Massachusetts taxpayers because you are keeping those kids alive. Harmony, it's Saturday. It's late. We'll just call it Arby's. Yeah, I was driving one of my friends home one day, and I asked her, what is that hot chick doing with those two scumbags she's with? Because they looked like they slept in a dumpster. She said, drugs. And I never really thought about that, but yeah. It would have been gross if you wanted an Arby's with extra ranch on it. I'm trying. I'm not even sure that she was that wet. Yeah, again, I don't care how many, what gender, as long as they are of appropriate age and they consent. You do you, honey. But please remember, it's a really, really fun pastime, but it can lead to a lifelong, as we used to joke with sometimes, life is a sexual transmitted disease because we will die of it at some time. But the even though it's fun, it can bring a lot of responsibility with it. So don't go around and treat your legs like 7-Eleven. They don't need to be open all the time. Yeah, you can send them to Canada. That's where they came from. I don't know what. Oh, red sauce. Yeah. Play the Frankie hostage video. I didn't find that one. So I was trying to find all the videos. Don't you hate it when the rants leak out the roast beef? Yeah. Thank you, Brandon. You are the one supporting me. It's okay. But rants and roast beef, you're sick man. I was just trying to make Jamie feel at home. I know she loves rants with everything. I don't know. The problem is she cleans up pretty well. She looks good, and you can see she can clearly moderate how she appears. And the person you saw on the front seat of the car is not the girl you'll meet when she's just buying a t-shirt to support Karen Reed. Oh, I love your reporting. You're such a wonderful reporter. Oh, you taught me so much. Oh, I was thinking she might be guilty, but because I follow your blog, Aidan, oh, you're such an amazing guy. I wish I could meet a guy like you because you're such a great reporter and you seem so, what I've seen, you're such a great dad as well. And I wish I could just show you the gratitude of all of us fans who really love what you're doing. What do you, if I want a cup of coffee? Oh, no, well, I shouldn't, but since it's you and I normally don't do this, it's, thank you for thinking of me. Yes, of course, I'll have a cup of coffee. Hey, maybe we'll make it an Irish coffee and forget the coffee. And I I just changed my sheets, and it's been a long time because I'm not that type of lady. But you're special. And then us guys will say, "Okay, I'm special." Oh, even though she has 4 kids, she's practically a virgin. I'm a lucky guy. And then you wake up next morning and you have that chick lying next to you. Well, chunky blue cheese dressing means run. We use horseradish on roast beef as well. I don't like horseradish. No, I'm just that's the way we're doing. No, but that's because you're a woman. Us men, oh, you gave me a compliment? I haven't had a compliment since the Berlin Wall was still a thing. I'm in love now. Well, the moose is probably under the covers. Yeah, and then she still claimed that she was pregnant. She's a bit slow in French. Horseradish or an enjus should be the only two options. That's good. Guys don't want nice girls, they want bimbos. It's a shame. Yeah, and girls don't want nice boys, they want the bad boys. It's a shame. Imagine if we could all just get that out of us and then figure out that what you really. That's why I'm quite impressed with my daughter, because she found an idiot. And I said, "Why did you find an idiot?" And she said, "He makes me feel safe and he treats me well." That's logic. You don't need anything else than that. That's imagine being, I think they met when she was 17. Imagine being that young and know that's the most important. He's not the big muscly guy. He's not the smartest guy in the world, but she felt safe. So does this guy watch this? No, because I always call him the idiot who lives with my daughter. Yeah, they're hard to find. Hope she sort of likes him too. Well, she just gave me my first grandchild, so at least once she liked him. I don't know how because of course my daughter is a virgin, but she just had a grandbaby, my grandbaby. Yeah, that's the problem. And again, you saw this lady is two different women, and again, she cleans up nice. I have to say it, except that weird calf thingy. She's good looking. I've seen her in a bar at 10 o'clock at night when you're 5 beers in. Who's only 5 beers in at 10 o'clock? You would think, oh, I'm lucky. Lindsay claimed it was Paul O'Keefe in a court hearing, yet Paul O'Keefe denied in a text message to Aidan. Yeah, that's another thing. There's a lot of lies in this case. So, yeah. I got news for you, Baker. What? Once Baker is done, we'll start stitching bitch. No, I think. Yeah, it's the second coming. Yes. If you're a member on the Discord and you need somewhere to go chin wag and talk about how gross I am talking about roast beef, you can join Jemima and Sue. They are going over there now to have their Saturday afternoon. Stitch and Mitch. The rest of you, I think I will be starting the Jason Chan case next week. It should be covered. I hope it's covered. It's a Red Rum case. I'll have to. We might be a little bit delayed because I have court Wednesday and Thursday, but we'll see if it starts Monday because the jury should be going to Chattanooga tomorrow to be sequestered. Other than that, Sunday is normally my day off and my eye is killing me, so I'll probably not do a surprise stream tomorrow. But you all, as they say down south, have a wonderful day. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Aidan, for letting me stream this. And thank you all of the title writers who came over and helped me out with the details I am not too sure about. Love y'all. See y'all.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor.
All right.
100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All
right, I'm in love. Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't have cared.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.
So there-
Everybody has.